Yours, here right now, the kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Yeah, time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like you never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens.
Want to go? We gotta take it slow. Here comes the fever. Here comes the fever now. Want to go? We gotta take it slow. Here comes the fever. Here comes the fever now. take it slow. Here comes the fever. Here comes the fever. On to go. We gotta take it slow. Here comes the fever. Here comes the fever.
Touch my skin and left your mark. You knew all the words to say. Held the strings tied to my heart. Pulled and pushed away. My friends don't bring you up no more. I'm sure yours don't mention me. I remember
Yours here right now, the kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Yeah, time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful.
Yo, yo, yo! BS here. No, 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 just politics, history, and facts. That's what I'm talking about. My opinion. Carl's opinion. Yeah. I'm not trying to shade you, just trying to educate you. I opine that you just need to listen and participate, or just be standing outside the gate. Carl's opinion. My opinion. Yeah. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Carl's Opinion. And this is Carl, your host. And we're going to our live call-in show tonight. And there I am. Hey, guys. How you doing? And just welcome everybody who's in the chat and everybody who's viewing right now. And there's your phone number, 775-273-8970. And I'm sure everybody watched President Trump there down in El Paso. I was able to catch parts of it myself. And as usual, a great speech, a great rally. And you can see all the people there, all the people from El Paso. Very happy to see the president. Very happy to see the president down in El Paso. People are very happy about having a wall, in front of their city between them and the Mexican border. So, that's the whole thing, is that the people down there who have to live with this problem and who don't mind being called out, all kinds of names and stuff, will come out and say, yeah, man, we want the wall. Now, a lot of people, they don't want to necessarily come out publicly and say that, but it looked like I had quite a few people that were willing to do that tonight. But, people work, they have jobs, and they got to worry about human resource managers and their coworkers and, what somebody's going to be saying about them. But, most of the people who live down there, love having some kind of a wall or a barrier between them and the, a whole bunch of people trying to come across the country illegally. As far as the president was right, as far as crime dropping down in El Paso and the surrounding areas, if you got a free for all, it's hard to control crime. Those local city and county and state, law enforcement get overwhelmed by something like that. They can't handle that kind of problem. They don't have the resources for it. El Paso is not a super rich city. It just isn't. The surrounding area isn't super rich either. There's a lot of agricultural products that get sold in and around there, and operates as kind of it is a port of entry between Mexico and the United States. But, it's not like it's, high-end money in El Paso. I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but I've been there. It's, it's a nice city, don't get me wrong, but it's not a great, big, bountiful city with lots of people and lots of money and stuff. So I saw Mr. Douchebag there and Jovi Vetti. Why are you such a homosexual? That's so funny. Yeah, I know. There we go. That's a good one. All right, well, hey, thanks for the message, man. That was really cool. But yeah. So anytime, man. But hey, don't be so homophobic. I just thought of that. It's like, hey, man, like, what do you got against homosexuals? What are you, homophobic? Is there something from your past? Maybe, I don't know, your dad, did he play with you a little bit too much? Your uncle, maybe a cousin, kind of got you all kind of messed up there. I mean, now you're all homophobic or something. I mean, you got to watch out for those kind of things. I recommend counseling, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual, as they said in Seinfeld. But no, it's true. But obviously, Mr. Venti there has some issues. But nonetheless, tonight is not the psychology hour, so trolled early, huh? Yeah, that was pretty early on there. But yeah, but yeah, I know, really some trauma going on there, So obviously he had some kind of childhood issues or something like that. He's still trying to work through them. But you're right. Yeah, well, I advertise the show 25 minutes ahead of time, so people are like, oh, I'm gonna go nail this show. But yeah, hey, the Trump rally looked really good. Looked like a really, really good crowd, real enthusiastic crowd. Very, very happy to see the president down there. It's almost like, Reagan going to Berlin or Kennedy going to Berlin to show, solidarity with the people there. It's like, hey, we're with you. The rest of the country may not, appreciate you guys down here in El Paso or think you guys are xenophobic or whatever, because you want a wall, you want a barrier between you and, a bunch of illegal aliens coming across and a bunch of criminals and drug traffickers and human traffickers. But, hey, we're with you, we're going to help you out here. So that's really good. But let's see. In fact, I was talking about this last night about the impasse regarding the number of beds. It wasn't just a wall issue; it was the bed issue just as important because people, even if you build the wall, people are still, people are still going to get across. And what the Democrats are trying to do is try to limit the number of beds, which of course makes no sense. I mean, other than the fact they just want people released. I mean, there's no reason to say we're not going to give you money to be able to house more people pending deportation. There's no legitimate reason for it. I mean, on one hand, they say, oh, it's we don't want these people being treated inhumanely, and then on the other hand, they're saying, well, we're not giving enough money to house them. And so you just have to release them. So basically, they're saying it's just like, I mean, if Democrats had their way, they'd give them money for 0 beds and say, okay, anybody who gets across, passes home plate, you're in, and you can just, evaporate into society and the general public. I mean, there's no legitimate reason to say we're going to limit the number of beds where you can house people, because those facilities are really nice. Once they get off the initial border area and they go into the facilities, Candace Owens went and toured one of those places, and she couldn't believe everything they had in there. I mean, it was like really nice. I mean, they had spas and they had school rooms, and everything was AC'd, of course, and I mean, everything was really put together really nicely. So and so they're saying, well, we're not giving you any money, so you can only house like 30,000, and they're saying, well, we need like 60 or 70 or 80, and like, well, no, that's too many. Well, okay, why is it too many? If you give us the money, we can have the staff, the personnel, the structures, the teachers, the medical staff on site, plenty of good food and educational opportunities and things of that sort. We can do that if you give us the money. Well, it's too many. Well, there's no legitimate argument by saying there's too many. I mean, it's not the money. I mean, Democrats don't have a problem spending money. So it's not that, but let's kind of get to the story here, and we'll kind of go through it. And you see here, this is by, again, the Washington Times. Shout out to the Washington Times. Lawmakers hit impasse over beds. Hold on. Tighten that up. Lawmakers hit impasse over beds. Second shutdown looms ahead. By Tom, excuse me, get this cord over here. By Tom Howell and Stephen Dinan of the Washington Times. Negotiators working on a deal to avoid another government shutdown hit an impasse over the weekend after Democrats insisted on cutting the number. This makes no sense. Cutting the number of beds available at detention centers. Hopes for a deal by the Friday deadline, the 15th, dimmed with one key negotiator saying chances were only 50-50, that's pretty bad, that an agreement could be reached. I mean, it's only 4 days ahead, with Democrats' new demand further complicating a debate that had previously centered on President Trump's border wall. Yeah, they keep moving the goalposts. The White House said Sunday that Mr. Trump will build his wall one way or another, but unless lawmakers can resolve their fight, the president might not be able to sign a bill to keep the government open beyond this week's deadline. There will be some things that simply we couldn't agree to, so the government shutdown is technically still on the table, Mr. Mulvaney told Fox News Sunday, chief of staff. We do not want it to come to that, but that option is still open to the president and will remain so. After weeks, Mr. Trump rocking things by trying to add in more wall money, it's now Democrats upending the negotiations by demanding massive cuts to U.S. immigration and customs enforcement's detention capacity. ICE is currently holding about 49,000 migrants in detention, and Mr. Trump has asked for 52,000 beds total. Democrats want to cut that number to about 34,000 beds, with an additional limit of 16,000 beds for people ICE arrests in the interior. It's insane. Administration officials say ICE is holding more than 20,000 criminal migrants arrested in the interior, and Democrats' limits would mean releasing thousands of them out onto the streets. I mean, they're currently holding 20,000 criminals. And the Democrats want to limit how many criminals. These are criminal migrants. I mean, it's not an argument. It's not just ICE is holding migrants. Criminal migrants, people that are arrested for committing another crime other than coming here illegally. 20,000 people, and they say, we want to drop that to 16,005. Well, just right now, that means 3,500 people have to walk out into society. 3,500 criminals that they arrested for committing crimes could just go free. I mean, and of course they're going to be adding more criminals as the Democrats keep telling people to come across. So the one article, and I have it up here. Well, actually, you see on the headline there to the left. U.S. faces highest rate of illegal entry since 2007. I brought this story up last night. 84% increase from this time last year in the fiscal year, the first 4 months of the fiscal year. 84% increase, went up to like 209,000, people detained at the border, caught trying to get across. And so the Democrats keep telling people, yeah, come across, come across, come across. I mean, obviously, the ICE is going to be holding more than 20,000 criminal migrants. The number's only going to go up. And as of right now, though, if that law went into effect, right now, you have to release 3,500 criminals onto the streets. I mean, that's just insane. I mean, and so the official is letting the Democrats know what he thinks about it. He goes, This is abolish ICE," one official said. Democrats said they doubted ICE would release criminals. Well, if they don't have authorization to hold more, then they're going to get sued. There's no law in effect. Somebody's going to bring a lawsuit to a U.S. District Court judge and say, hey, the law says 16,005. I want my client out. Democrats said they doubted ICE would release criminals, though they did not provide their own numbers to counter the administration's math. Instead, they said ICE would have to get better at prioritizing. Though they acknowledged they were trying to punish the agency for its enforcement tactics. And they're even admitting to it. It's like, oh, we're going to punish you by... Now, how are you punishing ICE officers by releasing criminals into society? That doesn't punish ICE officers. These guys are all armed. Their families are all armed. I'm sure. They're well armed. So it's punishing the rest of us. It's not punishing ICE. And here's some idiot. For far too long, the Trump administration has been tearing communities apart with its cruel immigration policies, said Representative Lucille Roybal Ayard of California, one of Democrats' negotiators. Oh, that's a good person to be negotiating with, saying that you people suck and you're tearing communities apart by actually arresting criminal illegal aliens. A cap on ICE. Here we go. Let's hear her reasoning. A cap on ICE detention beds will force the Trump administration to prioritize deportation for criminals and people who pose real security threats, not law-abiding immigrants who are contributing to our country. The point is, they're still here illegally. Theoretically, they should all be deported. It's like she's saying, "Oh, you got to prioritize who to deport." How about deport anybody here who's here illegally? I mean, I know it's an impossibility. But if you're starting out with the fact, well, if you're here illegally, it's okay to be here and stay here. Well, that's insane. I mean, that's where the Democrats are coming at. Again, they just don't want any borders. They don't want to stop anybody from coming across. They just want everybody to come across. That's their ultimate gain. All this, posturing and stuff. But they're actually coming out and saying it is like, oh, they're going to force you to prioritize. Okay, well, you tell me which 3,500 to let go right now, and another like 3,000 or 4,000 in the future, another 5,000 later. Which ones are we letting go? Okay, these people have been either convicted of a crime or awaiting trial, and they're being held, actually probably convicted if they're in ICE custody in lieu of like detention at a jail or something, but some could be awaiting trial. Law-abiding immigrants. Well, first of all, if you're here illegally, guess what? You broke federal law. I mean, maybe it's only a misdemeanor if it's your first offense, but a lot of these guys, they're second and third, and that jumps to a felony. So how are you law-abiding if you're here illegally? Hence, illegally. You're not law-abiding. Oh, God damn it. Lawmakers have just 5 days to sort it all out. Now, let me just take a look real quick here what we got going on. Okay, we got Voltron and Mr. Douchebag and Keltels. Hey, Mr. Keltels, how you doing? Good seeing you up over here. And, okay, let me get back to the story real quick. Let's see. So, there we go. So they have 5 days to sort it all out. Neither party has much appetite for a repeat of the shutdown that unnerved markets and spread misery among the federal workforce from late December to January 25th, when Congress agreed to reopen government and negotiate anew over border security. House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth. Oh, we did a story on John Yarmuth a while back, and yeah, he's a real piece of work. Yeah, I did a story on him a while back. Yeah, he's basically, a social. Well, he's not basically. He is a socialist. He's just straight up socialist. Oh God, I mean, I all the facts I pulled up on this guy. House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth, Kentucky Democrat, and Representative Tom Graves, Georgia Republican, told ABC this week they're still. Hold on, let's get to the top of the page. They're still hopeful they can craft a bill that will make it through both chambers. Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Richard Shelby, Alabama Republican, and Senator John Tester, Montana Democrat, appeared less certain. They said things could still work out or be a train wreck. I say let it be a train wreck. That's what I say. I say 50-50 we get a deal, Shelby told Fox. I think the talks are stalled right now, he added. I'm hoping we can get off the dime later today or in the morning because time is ticking away. Mr. Trump, who shouldered much of the blame for the last shutdown, argued Democrats are the ones who are making talks difficult. They are offering very little money for the desperately needed border wall, and now, out of the blue, want a cap on convicted violent felons to be held in detention, he tweeted. Mr. Trump might still declare a border emergency and use the Pentagon to build his border wall. Congressional Republicans are skittish about the idea. Yeah, that's what I was saying the other night. Saying it would set a broad precedent for presidential powers. I think there's like 33 national emergencies that are ongoing right now. I can't remember. It's some crazy number. They're ongoing. They're active, like right now. So I'm not sure what broad precedent he's setting here. If the president did use emergency powers, Congress could attempt to overturn it by voting for a resolution of disapproval. That would require majority votes in each chamber, but Trump would then likely veto it. Right? They need, like I said last night, they need veto-proof majorities, and Congress would then have to muster 2/3 of each chamber to override the veto and prevail. The House's top Republican, Kevin McCarthy, says that won't happen. Oh, well, good. I'm glad he's counting votes, and he's saying they won't get 2/3. I don't see any way that would get overridden. The congressman told reporters Friday, likely emboldening Mr. Trump to go it alone if he doesn't get his way this week. Mulvaney said the president would prefer legislation that is the proper way to spend money in this country. But if that doesn't happen, the president proceeds, he told Fox. His number one priority is national security. Well, good for him. Good for him. And, that's the way it should be. Let's cut over here. And we'll cut back over to the national emergency language. Here it is. Code Section 33, Title 33, United States Code 2293, reprogramming during national emergencies. And this talks about how you can termination or deferment of civil works projects, application of resources to national defense projects in the event of a declaration of war or a declaration by the president of a national emergency. And again, I went through the statute. There's no part of that statute that says the president can declare a national emergency if A, B, and C happen. And the reason why that's important is that if somebody sues to try to stop it, like takes it to the U.S. District Court to get an injunction, there's nothing for the district court to decide. The only thing the statute just says if he declares it, doesn't provide any kind of limits or anything as far as why he, what the reasons are for declaring it. There's nothing to go back and look at. And again, this was passed by Congress, and Congress has the power of appropriations under Article 1 of the Constitution, unless they give it away. Unless they vote to give it away, and they did in case of national emergency or a declaration of war. So then he can move money around. He can reshuffle money around. So you see the highlighted part there. So it's like, we'll just read through it. I did cut off some of it because it was, it's not that lengthy, but it's lengthy enough. Let's see. In the event of a declaration of war or declaration by the president of a national emergency, the Secretary of Defense, may terminate or defer the construction, operation, maintenance, or repair of any department of the Army Civil Works project that he deems not essential to the national defense, and then apply the resources of the Department of the Army Civil Works program, including funds, personnel, and equipment, to construct or assist in the construction, operation, maintenance, and repair of authorized civil works, military construction, and civil defense projects that are essential to the national defense. Now, the important part about that is when you see of authorized civil works. In other words, money that's already been appropriated by Congress. And this is good. Well, it's not great, but it's good because Congress has already appropriated money for the building of fences from the 2006 Act that was signed into law by George W. Bush. And I believe also in 2012 there was another act signed by President Obama. This is back when the Democrats were saying about immigration. And, Chuck Schumer's talking about, we got to stop this. And if you're a legal immigrant, illegal alien. Actually, Schumer used the phrase illegal alien. That's what he didn't call them illegal immigrant or undocumented workers. When he was giving his speech, he said illegal alien. And, they were all for it. And so basically, the money's been appropriated already. And I think they said there's something like money for an additional, like they started it in 2006 and then Obama stopped it in 2009. So they hadn't completed all the construction, but the money was already appropriated. And so that money is kind of sitting there, the appropriation is there for like I think they were saying like about 350 miles, 275 miles. I can't remember what the number was, but that it's already been appropriated. Basically, I mean the wall's been appropriated. So all they got to do is move it around. But anyway, we have a call in for Mr. Douchebag. Let me get him on here. Mr. Douchebag, how you doing?
What's up, Carl? How you doing? How is everything?
Everything's good. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry, I kind of came in a little bit late to the chat. Shout out to all the great Patriots out there, and everybody that's watching you.
Oh, thanks.
Are we open topic? I'm sorry, are we open topic?
Yep.
Or,
I put that back in the.
Okay.
I did put that in the description again tonight. Open topic. So whatever you want to talk about, sure, go for it.
Okay, cool. What's interesting? I don't know if you read this. H.A. Goodman was covered. I didn't get a chance to watch it today, but the Ninth Circuit of all courts sided with Trump about building the prototype walls. Did you hear about that?
No, I mean a little busy today. I was working on my own cases, so I didn't see what the Ninth Circuit was doing regarding the prototype wall.
It's interesting because there is no more liberal court than the Ninth Circuit Court, in my opinion. And for them to side with Trump on this issue, it kind of makes you wonder that they must know. I mean, obviously there's stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know. Just like there's probably a deal being made right now, even as we speak. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, granted, it looks all signs point to like no deal being made, but truthfully, I'm willing to bet that there's some kind of a deal going to get made because it's funny because I was talking to a buddy of mine about this today. Some people think that because I've heard $2 billion was going to be thrown out there, for border fencing. But what could actually happen is, say, what if Trump or like some PAC that backs Trump, he uses the rest of his money to build the wall? You know what I'm saying? Like either Brian Colfage's thing, organization, or some other means of getting the border wall built. Because I was watching a thing on Brian Colfage today, and what's funny is that there are people who own land along the border who are more than happy to let them come and build for free. I mean, I don't know how they got to go through the paperwork to get the permits. I'm sure the EPA has to get involved in everything. But it seems like the border wall is coming along slowly, but it is coming along.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he does. I think he's going to have to pull the trigger on that national emergency. And again, the fear, and I brought this up a couple of nights ago, the fear is that there would be Republicans that would jump ship in the Senate and maybe some in the House. Although McCarthy feels pretty confident about his guys in the House, but the Senate. I mean, you got the Romney establishment Republicans. Those people. I don't know. I think McConnell could keep them on board. I think what he probably would do be like, okay, look, down the road we may vote, to get rid of this national emergency, but I think we're going to give the president his shot right now. I think if McConnell has any sense in his head and he looks at the poll numbers, and plus, theoretically, a national emergency is, I mean, I'm sure the mainstream media will find, people who are being helped by the project that they're diverting the money from to go work on this wall. There'll be like some old lady that was getting like a handicapped accessible something at like a military base or PX, where she can go to the store and go shopping, and now she can't go. I'm sure they'll just scour the land for wherever the money and resources, men and material were taken from whatever project they were working on, or I don't know. They'll find something where they'll find somebody sad about it and some kid crying or whatever. So. Yeah.
Because it looks like, the funny thing is because it looks like Colfage is actually pulling it off a little bit, because they, it's funny because, it goes back to what I was saying, even though it wasn't, everyone was saying, well, he couldn't do it, the money's going to disappear into the national treasury or something, but it looks like he's, making some progress. I mean, slowly, but making progress, and I think, I'm willing to bet that Trump probably gambled on something like this, because the fact that Brian Colfage's thing, his donation or his GoFundMe reached I don't know where it's at now, but the fact that it reached over $20 million in such a short time proves that people understand that it ain't Trump, it's Congress that's being, the thorn in Trump's side getting this wall built, But like I said, I think I don't know. You remember when we were talking the other day about how they had in Texas they had the border fencing, and then they've got a wall going in parts where there's holes. You know, where not holes, but like where there's a gap in between where the
Right.
fences bridge each other, right?
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is that they're going to probably. Oh, and Texas even talked about passing legislation on the state level to get funding for the wall. So that's a good thing too.
Well,
But I
yeah,
think
because
Texas
they
is
can.
the
If you look at the one law, let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's see. Let me get the right one here.
Man, I don't see Lilo. Is he there? Lilo's there? No, he's not there. Okay, now it's sad. No chat. No chat is complete without Lilo. Oh, cool. Nunez here. All right, go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me. No, that's fine. Hey, let me pull this up here. Let me cut across. Boom. All right, and let's see. Throw myself on here a little bit. Boom. Hey, okay. This is Title 10 United States Code, Section 284, and this talks about. Let me pull myself. Right. Boom. There we go. And this talks about support for counter-drug activities and activity to counter transnational organized crime. And now this is interesting, too. This is another way. And again, this research came from a law school professor at Chapman University, so I want to make sure I give him his credit. He was on Tucker Carlson. I went back and I read his article that he actually published, and he kind of laid out really good. And these are two of the statutes he brought up, the one I had previously, and this one. This is Title 10, United States Code, Section 284. And again, it has to do with counter-drug activities and activity to counter transnational organized crime. This is one that's really interesting. So when you said Texas was going to vote on something, this is, I think, maybe what they're talking about. So it says, by the appropriate official of a state like Texas, local or tribal government in the case of support for state, local, or tribal law enforcement agencies, or in the case of support described as subsection C down below, such support is requested by an appropriate official of a department or agency of the federal government in coordination with the Secretary of State that has counter-drug responsibilities or responsibilities for countering transnational organized crime. That would be, in our case, the Drug Enforcement Agency under Homeland Security. The purpose for which the Secretary may provide support under subsection A for other departments or agencies of the federal government, of a state, local, tribal law enforcement agencies are the following: the kind of support that can be provided, and you go all the way down to subsection 7. And it says right there: construction of roads and fences, installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across international boundaries of the United States. So basically, if a state requested from the federal government, or if the Drug Enforcement Agency, in coordination with the Secretary of State, requested, you can provide some support for construction of roads and fences and installation of such along corridors of the international boundaries of the United States. So the state of Texas may make that request and say, "Hey, we need to put these kind of fences and lighting in to block drug smuggling." So that's another way to, if you will, skin a cat, to maybe get this done. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and but I mean it has to get done. I mean, and like that bed situation I was talking about from the article from the Washington Times. I mean that's just silly. I mean that's ridiculous. I mean, if you have 20,000 criminals, ICE is holding on to 20,000 convicted criminals right now. Convicted criminals, and the Democrats say no. We're going to drop what you can hold down to 16,500. Like if that law passes, well, that's 3,500 people, criminals, that you have to release into society. Well, I mean that doesn't make any sense. I mean somebody must be, and this is a new issue for them. This hasn't been part of any negotiation in the past. They just brought this up this week. They said, "Oh, we want this," and they want to drop the number of beds even Customs and Border Patrol can hold. And they want to drop it down to 30,000. And I think they're currently holding 40,000 right now. So they just want open borders. Okay, they ought to just come out and say, look, we want open borders. Let's put it to a vote with the American people. Albeit we already had that vote in 2016. I mean,
Exactly.
the one
Yeah.
biggest issue Trump was talking about and getting harangued about from the left more than anything was his stance on immigration. So that was obviously front and center in the American people's minds when they went to that voter booth. There was no way you could walk to the voter booth and not say immigration was not an issue you were thinking about because it was being talked about everywhere by Trump and by his opponents. So
Yeah.
they voted in favor of tough border security, a wall, and halting illegal immigration. Of all the issues that were voted on, that was it. That was the biggest one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the people
And
have
you know-
spoken
and you
already,
know-
and I guarantee you, if you put it to a vote
Yeah.
again, they will speak one more time and say, yes, we want border security.
It already spoke again in the midterms 2018 when you know, what was it? Douglas Ducote was talking about it. 42 the candidates Trump back won, you know? And think about it. Even all the voter fraud that they were going on, and again, like I was saying yesterday, thank God for the walkaway movement, because I think that's what helped Republicans keep the Senate. You know, that combined with all of the voters for Trump
Right.
is what helped the Republicans keep. I know I said this yesterday, but you know,
Well, I think if he would have
you know-
gone, I think if he would have gone, he only went to Montana once, but I think if he would have gone to Montana a few times, but I mean, he's only one guy. But if he had gone to Montana a few times, I think they could have taken Tester's seat away from him because that race turned out to be much closer than I think the White House anticipated. There wasn't a lot of polling going on in Montana. There just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I think
Yeah.
if the White House knew just how close that race was going to be, they probably would have invested more time into going up there. He would have held maybe instead of one rally near the end, he probably would have held like three, like he did, or two at
Yeah.
least, like he did in Missouri and Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about like that, I didn't get a chance to see the rally in El Paso, but from what I understand, you know, people were basically camping out again, just like they were in last year during the midterms. You know,
Yeah.
and people were waiting to see, because see the other thing, and see these globalists, they know that they're throwing everything they got into this fight because you look at right now, right? Viktor Orban of Hungary kicked Soros out. Right?
Right.
So what happens then is that Soros, now that he lost Hungary, he's going to focus more of his resources here in the United States. So in a way, it's kind of bad for us because now they have those extra resources that, bribing the politicians and, all that money and all that stuff that, that they were giving to those corrupt politicians, mayors, of the cities in Hungary. Now they have extra resources to try and turn us, but they, to try and push us because if the thing too is that the EU is falling apart. It is falling apart. It cannot come fast enough for me, and they're throwing all of their money and their resources into trying to keep the EU together because the thing too is if they can get us under the heel, they can certify us under the EU. You know what I'm saying? Which is what Hillary Clinton was trying to do. She was trying to, she would have finished the job that Obama was doing, basically,
Right.
and, basically, force us or, we come under this new world government, we're certified under the EU because, again, if you can get the United States into your organization, which is what they were trying to do, the rest of the country will fall in line real quick, because, they control, they tried to bond all of these countries together with the EU currency because if all these countries were forced to only rely on the EU dollar, then, they would have no way of, they would have no choice they would have to stay in the EU. There was no way that they could have, afford to, back out of the EU like Britain's trying to do.
Right. Yeah. No. They definitely wanted to have one unifying currency because that forces people to have to stay in, and then if you get out, you have to restart your own currency, and then how is it going to trade against the EU? How's it going to trade against the U.S. dollar?
Yeah.
How's it going to trade against the Chinese yen? I mean, they know it would just be such a mess that people might just want to stick around and say, well, okay, we don't want to go through all that nonsense. But no, I agree. I mean, the Brexit vote was an excellent vote. It was right before Trump's election, I think. I'm pretty sure. And Obama was over there showing his hand because he was talking to the British, saying, "Well, if you do this, I'm not going to do any trade deals with you. The United States won't do any trade deals with any bilateral deals with Great Britain." And it's like, well, buddy, you're on the way out the door. But he thought Clinton was going to win, so much that he was able to make a threat like that.
Yeah.
But who the hell is he to go over there? Talk about election manipulation. You know, I mean, he's going over there and telling the British how to vote. You know, a foreign leader going to another country and saying you should vote this way. I mean, that's the arrogance. Oh my God! I mean, that's pretty arrogant to go over and tell people you better vote this way, or you know, that's just the way it is. You know, because of course he was a globalist as well. You know.
They've been quiet lately. Maxine Waters, they've all been very quiet lately. I mean, they might, you know, I mean, you don't really hear about them in the news much. You know, they, when people, you know, it's funny. It brings me to another thing. Like when people talk about QAnon, right? I don't believe in the QAnon theory because it's like, you know, I mean, there's been, I don't know if you ever follow it or not. I see it once in a while. Some of the subscribers that. Or not, I'm sorry, the channels I subscribe to, you know, but they talk about how QAnon that drops these clues and hints about what's going on, and I'm like, you know, this seems a little far-fetched to me. In fact, very far-fetched, you know, I mean...
Well, no, I know.
What,
I mean, it seems like he'll put something out there. It's almost like a psychic, you know. Oh, and then like people have to read all these different numbers, and then when it doesn't work out the way it's supposed to, I've been on some of those sites too. I think I know which ones you're talking about. But then when it doesn't go exactly the way they said it was going to go, then see, Q was like playing in the backfield. Like he was putting that out there so it would go this way or that way. And it's like, you know, cut the shit. Okay, he got it wrong. Okay, just say, he doesn't know everything. And then they'll try to find a way that what he said, you know, somehow now translates to what actually happened. Oh, we read it wrong. We read the tea leaves wrong the first time, but I see what he meant now. It's like, and of course, you know, I love when they keep saying, everybody's going to get locked up by the FBI. There's going to be mass arrests and mass, you know, people all heading to Guantanamo. I mean, you know, that's all bullshit. I mean, none of that's going to happen. The FBI is going to go around and start arresting, you know, the Clintons and all the congressmen and stuff and locking them up in FEMA camps. Well, that's not going to happen. You know, so I mean, it's just
now what they have, Now what they have done. Oh, I'm sorry, Carl. I don't mean to. I do apologize. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, you know, when people start talking like that about, you know, all these mass arrests are going to be happening, and you know, the FBI is getting ready to move in any minute now. It's like, well, like, who do you think the FBI is controlled by? FBI, they're all establishment people over there. You know, like, okay, there's a big investigation ongoing right now, and everybody's ready, and the hammer's getting ready to drop, and everybody's getting ready to go to jail. You know, I mean, every time I hear people say something stupid like that, I'm just like, you know, that ain't gonna fucking happen. Just shut the fuck up.
The only thing. Now, I've heard this more than once, and I mean, I'm not talking like Alex Jones type theories. I've actually heard this more than once, but some people actually think that Mueller's working with Trump. You know,
I don't think. Look, okay, no, I don't buy that.
But have you ever heard that?
Oh, I've heard like 10,000 different things about Mueller and Trump Mueller, and he's playing this way and this way, and it's all this. No, look, Mueller wanted a job, and he wanted to do this. And he walked. I'm telling you what happened. He got duped. Okay, he listened to his friend Comey, because Comey had it in for the president, and Comey said, "Oh, we got the goods on him. Yeah, we want you in here." You know, I don't think Mueller was pissed off because he didn't get hired. I don't buy that. I mean, come on, really. So anyway, he comes in thinking he's going to get the goods on everybody, right? Because everybody's telling him, "Hey, man, we got this. Mueller goes, "Oh, okay, this will be cool. You know, I get to be famous. I get to do a real good investigation. And if this guy's really guilty." You know, this is, you know, think about it. If Trump was really guilty of doing all this stuff, the collusion and everything, you know, that'd be a pretty good investigation to have, you know. So he's like, so then he gets into it, and the first thing he runs into, he notices FBI agents are all like these anti-Trumpers, never-Trumpers, and like they're all weirded out. And then he runs into Strzok. Strzok begs him to come on board. He goes, "Hey man, I've been working on this," and I'm like, and Strzok had a great reputation. He's one of the top counterintelligence guys in the FBI. And so he goes, "Oh yeah, okay, man, come on board." And next thing you know, you find out Strzok has been like, you know, talking behind the scenes about how he wants to get rid of Trump, and this, we got an insurance plan. And Mueller's like, "What the shit? This guy's been running this, and he ran the Clinton thing. He fired him almost immediately." He's, "Oh well, he didn't get fired over that. He got Mueller just canned his ass. It's like, shit, this guy's going to screw up my whole investigation. He's going to taint the whole thing." So he dumps him. I think Paige also was working on it. He dumps her. You know, so right away he's like, "Oh shit!" And then like I think the more he's gotten into this, he's come to realize, man, this is a bunch of bullshit. And like, I mean, the most telling thing was Mueller's kept his mouth shut, until, you know, he hasn't said
Mhm.
much. He hasn't countered any press reports. He's like, fine, do what you want, say what you want. Until what, about 3 weeks ago, when BuzzFeed said, oh, Trump, you know, Mueller's team has information and has, you know, proof that, you know, Trump told Cohen to lie to Congress, to burn perjury.
Mhm.
And that went, you know, viral, right? And everybody's all over the place. Oh, Trump's done now. It's a burning perjury. That's definitely an impeachable offense. He's out. He's gone. Bye. See you later. Have a nice day. Mueller comes out that night. I
Yeah.
think it was Friday night. He doesn't even wait till Monday. He says, screw this. And he
Yeah.
comes out in public, and through his spokesman, comes out public and says very nicely, but you could tell it was like, F you, you're wrong, that, hey, that story is false. There's no truth to it. It's nonsense. It's all made up. Shut up. And he just slammed everybody who ran with the story. So because he realized before the Republicans controlled the House, those stories sitting out there didn't have any, you know, potential harm. But he figured, oh shit, if I wait till Monday, the Democrats will start impeachment proceedings. No, I'm going to cut this off right now. I mean, so I think he's going to write a report. It's going to be shitty against the president. He's going to say some bad things, but trust me. That's why you haven't heard Pelosi talk about impeachment. That's why you say all these people are kind of laying low. They're laying low because they all been told, look, when this report comes out, you know, it's nothing there. So that's why Pelosi hasn't talked about impeachment, or Schumer. I mean, Schiff is still talking stupid shit. That's why Schiff shifted over to investigating Trump and his family and trying to go after, like, you know, his business dealings for the last 30 years. Because Schiff knows his Mueller report's coming out, and they've already been told there's nothing in it that's going to be any good. So that's why they've all been laying low, and Mueller got sucked into this, and I think Mueller's going to try to find a way out, but still has to justify what he's been doing for 2 years. So that's why he not arrested, but indicted all those Russian guys and everything else. So he had to show something. I mean, 2 years and several $1 million later, you know, something had to come out of it.
Yeah, because if something happens, like, and something else I was thinking about too, right? And these are like just a couple of examples, and I should have probably went back and read the stories before I brought this up, but I remember one of them better than I do the other. You know, when the left, you know, they're out there doing their thing, you know, we're going to do this and do that, but when the right pushes back, boy, do they cower. And one of the examples was back when, I think it was in Arizona, where Trump was going to speak. And, you know, there was a group of protesters out there, right? And, you know, what happened was those bikers for Trump, you know, they showed up in mass numbers. And I'm like, you know, these guys ain't messing around, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were there to protect families. I mean, they weren't paid to do that. They were there to, you know, show support for Trump and show support, you know, to make sure families could get to and from the event, right? Yeah, and that was an example of the left just, you know, shit, they're not playing around.
Well, no, I mean, all these bikers show up. All these bikers show up, and these guys, you know, they're like, you know, Antifa is like, forget, you know, they'll kick the shit out of them like they weren't standing there. Yeah, so they're like, no, because I mean, remember Trump did that rally in Phoenix back in 2016, and it was a disaster. I mean, it was a freaking disaster. People were getting beat up. People were getting, you know, cars, getting beat up, getting to their cars in the parking lot and everything else. So they said, "Oh, we're not going to do this again. This ain't happening again." A lot of bikers in Arizona, out here in the West, there's a lot of bikers. I'm in Nevada, a lot of bikers. You know, it's wide open spaces, a lot of open highway, a lot of places where you can just ride and park and you know, have a little picnic, you know, on the side of the highway and stuff. You know, it's kind of nice.
It's like
out
the
here.
poker run that runs up from from Florida up to what is it, New York or Maine, I think. They have it every year around November, you know, and you'll find that a lot of those bikers are pretty conservative, you know. I mean, at least the ones I've talked to, you know, pretty conservative, you know. And the movies have given bikers such a bad reputation, you know. I mean, you know, I mean, you know, because, you know, there's some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, very libertarian, very, you know, very open-minded, you know. I mean,
right.
You know, it's funny because, like, if you go back to, you know, if you go back to some of the, like, there was also that one rally too, I think, in Tennessee, where that militia group showed up to, you know, to make sure, you know, similar situation. Boy, they just sat there peeing their pants, you know, because, like I said, you know, it's like what we were talking about the other day. You know, these liberals don't understand that, you know, there's a lot of restraint being shown right now, you know. I mean, I hope and pray that it never comes to that, you know. But
No, look, I
You know,
don't look.
they
I look.
just-
I mean, look. The left would like nothing but to have a big freaking, all-out brawl. But I mean, look, this
Mhm.
country's been through a lot worse. I mean, I look. I wasn't. I was 4 years old in 1969, so I can't say I lived through the 60s.
Mhm.
But I watched a few documentaries. It looked pretty freaking nasty back then. I mean, Kent
yeah.
State. I mean, Army National Guard officers, shooting and killing a number of students at Kent State at a protest. I mean, people forget,
Yeah.
but it got pretty out of hand, and we somehow survived. Hell, Nixon got
Yeah.
reelected in 1972 through all that mess. So by big numbers, Watergate or no Watergate. I mean, he got 72% of the vote. I mean, okay, take out Watergate, so he won by 68% of the vote. Okay, so I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, we survived that, okay, and so
Mhm.
this is. I was talking to somebody today who's from Europe, in fact. I mean, real European guy,
Mhm.
and I said,
Yeah.
and he was talking about American politics, and I was telling him, I go, look, yeah, we yell and scream at each other, but it gets done. I said, remember the old saying, right? There are two things you should never watch being made: sausage and
Mhm.
laws. You should never watch a
Yeah.
law. This here. Let me see if that helps. Yep, there we go. That helped.
Oh, okay.
Got it. All right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
suddenly something goofy. It was weird. It was like suddenly the screen moved on my YouTube screen. I didn't touch anything, and all of a sudden everything just moved up, and I'm like, "What the shit was that?"
Mhm.
And then it started
Yeah.
buffering. So it's kind of it was like that was kind of crazy. It was like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
who's messing with my site?" Like I was getting the
Yeah.
Russians.
Mhm.
I was getting hacked by the Russians. It was the Russians. It was Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin was hacking into my
Yeah.
site, a Russian bot.
Yeah.
But no, that was kind of weird. It was
Oh
just
my God,
suddenly like I'm looking at like when you're streaming live on YouTube, you can like you're in your
Mhm.
production screen, but then you can also go on to the YouTube screen, which shows your chat room and everything. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden, I didn't touch a damn thing, and everything just moved. And I'm like, well, what the hell
Mhm.
is that about? It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wasn't that Axe was having a problem with that the other time, wasn't he, when he was streaming?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
yeah, MIB Carl Run. Yeah, no shit, man. Men in Black, it's
Mm-hmm.
like well, did anybody mention aliens? Did anybody mention aliens in the chat room? Up there I go again. God damn it. What the shit?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
mean,
why.
I see you fine. Yeah.
Well, it looked like it started again, so
Uh,
see, like when we're on the phone,
but
it won't affect us on the phone because the phone goes through,
Mhm.
it goes external and then goes back into the production. But you and I on the phone are
Mhm.
talking through my cell phone through the
Mhm.
mixer board. So
yeah.
see, she came
Voltron
back.
just said did it again.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I just did it again. So, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, that pisses me off. Tell you what, don't go nowhere. Let me go. Let me check something real quick. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. Stay on the
Okay.
phone. Tell everybody
Okay.
something. I don't know. Just talk about something while I'm
Okay.
gone. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody's day? Let's see. I don't see anybody giving me a response. Hello. So who's let's see. So I've never. Let's see. So. Okay. How about some one-liners? Everybody wants some one-liners? Sign up in the chat room if you want some one-liners. Okay. How about tell me which one y'all like the best? Establishment politicians have the intelligence of hoping a hamburger comes with a beef patty. Or how about this one? About Alexander Ocasio-Cortez has the intelligence of using a broom to enter the sweepstakes. How's that one? Is that good? Hello. Hello. Bye, Rachel Goddess. Hello, Voltron. What's up? That's a good one, huh, Voltron? Yep. I like my name, the Great Douchebag. It's fitting for me. You know what I'm saying? And let's see. How about Chuck Schumer has the intelligence of playing hopscotch while drunk on scotch? How about that one? Is that good? That's good, right? Right.
That was a good.
Oh, you
That's
can hear me
good.
too, Carl?
Hey, who hijacked my show? Who hijacked my show? No, that was good. Thanks, man. Yeah, I just had to change a cable around there on the router box, so I figured that might help.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it did. Looks like it fixed it. According to YouTube, I got a good stream going. So
Mhm.
YouTube's happy. I'm happy. Well, the problem is where I live,
You know,
we got really really shitty internet. I mean, they say it's high speed. I got the highest speed in town, and check this out: the most I can upload is 10 megabytes. So I'm like pushing.
Really?
Oh man, I'm pushing the limit like every night when I'm doing this. It used to be like 20,
Mhm.
and then they decided, oh, more people are downloading than uploading. So instead of going like 25, 20, like or 25, 25, we get you about 20 megabytes up. We're going to do a 40, 10 plan now.
Mhm.
And they just chop your upload speed in half, and that's the best in this town. I live in a small town. That's the best you can get anywhere. You can't at AT&T.
Yeah.
You can't get anything where I live. You know, no fiber, of course.
Yeah.
That's why when Axe was saying he's uploading at 91, I'm like, gee, 91. I'd have a heart attack if I had 91. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, God,
Well,
I'd be happy. I'd be happy with having my 20 back. You know, instead of where I'm at. But no, it's pretty crappy, unfortunately. So, but you know,
Yeah.
you got to do
I
what you
don't
got
know,
to do.
but yeah, no, because you know, it's like any internet service. You know, it's like it's like I think. Well, I don't know who we use, but we have like they have like those what is it I think Comcast is pretty good. You know, the cable package deals. You know, they have they got pretty fast internet. But I
Yeah,
just rely more on my phone and my
we don't even have that. We don't have cable out here. You're on DirecTV
Oh, really?
and
wow.
yeah, DirecTV or Dish, no cable, so you can't get the high speed internet through the cable, and the fibers is limited, very limited. It depends where you live and where the company's going to be putting it next. Like they put it like in the downtown area for the businesses first, and then they're slowly spreading out. But it doesn't look like they have any plans to put it where I'm living actually. So I'm kind of pissed off about that.
Yeah. I just rely on my laptop or not my laptop, but my iPad and my iPhone. You know, because it's so much better, so much faster. You know, I got my computer. I just haven't hooked it up yet. I was cleaning out my room and switched rooms, and I got to hook up my computer. And it's like but I've just been using my laptop and my phone. You know, it's just so much easier.
Yeah, no. I
But-
mean, downloading speed is fine. It's just uploading is for me as a YouTube creator, when you're uploading, like videos and stuff and different screens and all that kind of stuff, that's what takes the space. And that's if they when they cut us down in half like that. I mean, that was really painful. I mean, that was there was no good reason for it, other than they did it because they could. And
I think you. mhm.
yeah, it
I
kind of
think
sucks.
YouTube's getting better at like I don't think they're as bad as Twitter and Facebook. I know we talked about this before, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're as bad as Facebook and Twitter. I think they I don't know if you remember the Doctor of Common Sense. I forget the guy.
Yeah,
He was on a
I
few
used to
years
watch him.
ago,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I was a sub to him, and then
he
he
was
got kicked off.
hilarious, but
Yeah.
but he did a lot of cursing and he did a lot of and they it's sad that they kicked him off, but but when you look at him and you look at ABL, like ABL doesn't use any bad light. I'm sorry, Dr. Common Sense was hilarious. But
Yeah.
you look at ABL and you look at like Stexenhammer. I mean, Stexenhammer curses. ABL, I've never heard him curse, but Stexenhammer, he uses some pretty off the wall language, But he's more of a libertarian, and
Yeah.
going back to like how I was saying about like the newly red pilled people, Stexenhammer and ABL, because I think ABL's libertarian in a way too. He's like slightly white conservative, but he's not hardcore conservative.
No. Oh, did you see the story? Did you see the story in the president's approval rating?
Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, I tell you what, don't hang up. I'm going to play you a video from. You ever watch Sargon of Akkad?
Yeah, I subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, okay. I got his video. I captured it earlier. The only problem is I had a little bit of a hum on it, but I'm gonna go in and shoot it on over anyway. Let's see. So let me pull one thing off the top here before I do that. Let's do.
Boy, everybody highlights my name in red. I wonder why.
I
I
don't.
guess that's like how they get my attention or something.
Oh no.
I noticed that
If somebody
active
no
channel.
if they at you, if they go like
Mhm.
if you want somebody if you want to write to somebody, like if you go at none your business, like use the at sign on your computer or your desktop
Mhm.
or your phone. If you go
Oh,
at
yeah.
if you go
Mhm.
at none your business, it'll highlight for her.
Mhm.
She'll see the highlight. So if somebody's
Oh,
going
okay.
at the great
Oh, okay.
douchebag, that's what I do.
Mhm.
Then it'll highlight only.
Mhm.
It'll only
Yeah.
highlight for you. Only you'll see the highlight though. Nobody
Mhm.
else will. But here, wait,
Mhm.
stay on the phone. I'm going to check. This is going to be
Okay.
Sargon of Akkad. Hopefully this works. Amen. Here we go.
The God Emperor has reached 52% in his approval ratings, which is
Carl?
apparently the highest.
Yeah, I'm
it's
still
been
here.
since
Let's see what's going on with
Oh,
that.
okay. No. I
which
can
is
hear you.
pretty
Okay. No. I
impressive
just
when you think
I was
about
waiting for the video. I heard it's like I heard
negative
silence
coverage.
there for a minute. I didn't know if
Since
I
the
lost
start of
connection
his
or not.
presidency
Okay.
until
Well,
was
this
in
is
March
playing. Do you hear
2018,
this? Hold on.
He had
Okay, yeah, hold on.
90% negative media coverage. That is just. The God Emperor has reached 52% in his approval ratings, which is apparently the highest they've been since 2017, which is pretty bloody impressissive when you think about the non-stop negative coverage of Donald Trump. Since the start of his presidency until this was in March 2018, he had 90% negative media coverage. That is just unbelievable. That is a level of hostility. I mean, like the Washington Times calls it unprecedented, because it absolutely is. It just hasn't happened before that a president has been so unpopular with the political class and yet so much more popular with the actual voters. Apparently his approval rating was at 55% days after he was sworn in as president, and then obviously the media campaign went into overdrive and did their very best. But I'm presuming it was his State of the Union address and the way that he has been handling things since that has really done him a lot of favours. And I would imagine that the slow-motion car crash that is the Democratic Party hasn't hurt his approval ratings either. I mean, the Democratic Party is currently in freefall. Who knows who they're going to end up with as the DNC, as the Democratic candidate for 2020.
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. I thought I lost you.
No. But were you able to hear that, or I captured that earlier this morning?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay. Did anybody else hear it?
No.
Nobody. Oh, nobody else heard
No.
it.
I mean, it's cool.
No, but
I can check it out later. It's cool. I mean, I subscribe to his channel. I got some videos I haven't watched of his yet.
see, I can't.
But he,
Can't hear you.
You know what's interesting too? That just reminded me too.
Oh wait, hold on.
Tommy Robinson.
Shh, hold on.
Oh,
Hold on.
Mhm.
Tell you what, I got another caller. I'm going to take that. I got Voltron calling in, so I'm going to grab him. Okay.
Okay.
All right, man. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to try to spread it around a little bit. But hey, man. Hey, thanks for the call as always, man.
Okay.
Great topics again, man. Always great
Oh, yeah.
topics.
Oh yeah.
All right, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Douchebag. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.
I'll see you in the chat.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Voltron, you there?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Carl?
Hey, not much, man. Not
How you
much.
doing?
Not good. Hey, were you able to hear that Sargon of
Not much.
Akkad video or no?
Yeah, I heard it. It played through. At first, it was a little low. But then when you replayed it, it was fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know,
Good deal.
yeah, it was fine. You can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it.
Oh,
So we
good
heard
deal.
it, man. I
Good
saw
deal.
it.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy,
I mean,
right?
yeah, well, I mean, his approval rating went up to, according to Rasmussen, went up to like 52%. So, I mean, that's
Mhm.
really good. It's probably a little bit of an outlier, but
Yeah.
it definitely didn't go down. I mean, well, that State of the Union speech was just, I mean, God, that's like one of the best
Yeah.
speeches I've ever heard anybody give. And I've been, following
Right.
politics since the early 70s. And that was just one of the best.
Wow.
I mean, it's just how personable he was too when he got away from the teleprompter, and he just kind of cracking jokes like when he turned to the women, he said, "Well, don't be so quick, don't stand down so
Yeah,
quick,
right.
don't sit down so
Yeah.
quick. You're gonna like this." Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
It was
I mean,
really good.
yeah, I mean,
he
just-
had the crowd in his palm of his hand.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to be that personal where you can break off the teleprompter and just kind of like be real relaxed and just You know,
Yeah.
just talk to people, and the people he's talking to, you know, he knows they hate his guts, and he's talking to him anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And how old is Trump? He's a pretty cool old man, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
like, what is he? How old is he?
I think
Exactly?
he's like 70 something or 70. He's 70 something. I'm not mistaken.
God, give the man some credit. I mean, he deserves all of it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it reminds me of.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Go.
No, I was just saying, it reminds me of, how the media was just lying their ass off at the beginning of during the election, in the night of election night, the polls, all these polls that were talking about, 90% landslide, all these things like that. I mean, all of them were doing it,
Yeah. No, I mean, no. I mean, they had the New York Times of what 92% chance of winning or something like that.
Yeah.
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 I mean that.
It was that.
I mean, and then even 538, had him definitely winning, and then they kind of backed off a little near the end, 538, but they still had him winning. I mean, they still had Hillary winning rather, big time.
Right. Sure.
So I mean, that's why those meltdown shows are so funny, because they all started under the premise. Now, I'll be honest with you, I thought he was gonna lose also. I mean, I was down in Vegas, and I was picking up some suits. And Vegas is very that's Clark County. It's a blue county, in the most populated. It's Las Vegas, most populated county in the entire state. So they pretty much every other county, and Washoe barely went for Clinton, but every other county in the state went for Trump, except for like Clark and Washoe. But Washoe only narrowly, but that was enough to carry the whole state for Clinton. And I was down there, and so I'm like, and I'm watching the exit. Remember the scene where they showed Hillary hugging Bill and Chelsea after the North Carolina exit polls came in, showing that she was going to take North Carolina. Well, I was there when that went. I was at that store when that went down, and the manager was there, and she was like the only Republican. Cool. She was like the only Republican working there, and she was the manager. Everybody else were a bunch of liberal Democrats. And and I knew her, and I just turned to her and I said, "Oh, this is." I go, "You know what? Tonight's going to suck." And she goes, "No, Carl, the next 4 years are going to suck." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm just going to head on. I'm just going to head on home." Well, I didn't. When I drove home, I ran the Google Play. I ran Google Play Music. I don't listen to the news or the radio or anything. I just played some music I had on my phone. And so then I get home and I'm getting everything set up, sit down, watch, grabbing some food. And, then I sit down. By the time I got home and sat down and got everything turned on and was relaxing, all of a sudden, here comes North Carolina, and they're calling it for Trump. And I'm like, holy shit.
What?
I mean, yeah, and I literally just jumped out of my chair, jumped as high as I could, and was just yelling, screaming, cursing, you mother, and I'm like, oh my God. And it was just, what a change of mood for me. I mean, that was like fantastic.
That's awesome. I watched it all night too, man. I stayed up the whole night and watched it. I worked next morning. I stayed up the whole entire night watching it, and I watched it all. It was great. And I was like yelling in the middle of the night. My wife was like, "What's going on?"
Oh yeah, well,
like,
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure a lot of your neighbors were yelling too. Well, you're, some liberal areas up there, but I'm sure you had a lot of neighbors that were yelling, screaming, like, "Yeah, this is crazy! Like, I can't believe we're doing it."
Idea. Yeah.
Well, the damn mainstream media though, they made us stay up later than we really had to, because they could have called that a lot sooner. In fact, which was really telling was that NBC still wasn't calling it, and then all of a sudden they get word that Hillary Clinton called Trump and conceded before NBC even called the election. So I mean, that tells you how in the tank NBC was, because they didn't want the Trump supporters to be able to go to bed early, or the people who were going to bed, they didn't want you going to bed knowing he'd won.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they reported on the fact that she called and conceded before they even called the election that night, because I was bouncing back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah, I was back.
They were really saying that.
Yeah, they're really assholes. I mean, just real assholes. Period.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. A question. Like I discovered, I discovered the media's lies about a year and a half before Trump's election. When I was looking at Muslim immigration in Europe, I was like, what is this? What is this crap? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I started looking at comments, and they were made like 5 years ago. And then I did a lot of YouTube stuff, and I was like, where has this news been? So the question to me is, they're lying. They're mischievous. They're doing some dirty stuff, right? But how long have they been doing this? How long has the media how long have they been this corrupt? 20 years ago? 30 years? It didn't just happen before Trump, right?
No.
I mean, so how long did it happen? And what I did was I went back through history and trying to learn things and everything. And I learned some stuff that I want to talk to you about one day. Maybe not today. But it's pretty disturbing, man. It's pretty disturbing. Some of the stuff with World War I and World War II. Imagine back then when all there is newspapers, you know, and the same people own them. And I was like, whew. I mean, even in today's world, you have internet, we have YouTube, we have all kinds of alternative news, and they still do it. They still try to lie and fight, the narrative or create a narrative for people. And it still works to a certain extent.
Oh no, it works really good. First of all, it's not just like the news. I mean, I always say it's a multi-billion-dollar news, entertainment, mass media operation. And so whether it's commercials on TV, whether it's movies, whether it's TV shows, whether it's the actual news itself. Like if you're watching a TV show, like what stupid show is that? It's like the show in L.A. now about the fire department, the police, 911, or whatever the hell it's called. And and here's this I don't know, and here's like this transgender, or not trans, like this homosexual firefighter woman, lesbian firefighter who weighs like 250 pounds, who there's no way she could pass a physical, and and the people are kind of down on her, and then suddenly like she does one thing to save somebody's life, and all these guys are walking up to her like, yeah, you're one of us. Now it's funny, everybody else in the station house are all like really fit, and then the last thing they show her running for the truck, and I'm thinking like, Jesus Christ, they must have yelled cut right after she ran for the truck when the alarm went off, because there's no way in hell that she was probably like like almost dead, But it was just one of those things like, oh, you're the future of the department, and like just kind of putting the narrative out there so it makes it seem normal to you. And when like, man, that doesn't make any sense. And little subtle things they do, it's just true. That Gillette commercial was classic. I mean, I can't believe they expose themselves so out in the open. I mean, they're getting really kind of ballsy, because normally they do things a lot more subtle. But that wasn't subtle at all. That was like right in your face. I guess they got tired of being subtle, and they just said, "Oh, we're just gonna stick it." No more like hidden popcorn messages, behind the screen. They were actually like, "Here, this is what we think, and you suck. And by the way, you suck some more." Well, did you notice I was down in Vegas. I was down in Vegas getting something to eat. It was a sports bar, and they had all the TVs on, right? And so Gillette's got a new commercial out. It's a real manly commercial too.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's
another one. Oh, really? A new one.
Yeah, but this one is a manly commercial. Yeah, they must have realized they got kind of screwed. So they're like, oh, we're gonna do a manly. So it's like, well, it's kind of like a true kind of story about this. It's this one football player. I don't know his name. I don't follow football anymore. But this one football player, and he's there, and they're showing him like when he's growing up with his dad. His dad's showing him how to shave, him and his brother, and his dad's showing him how to run like dad puts like a hopscotch thing out there with string, and he's showing him how to run so he can play. But real manly, Yeah, real manly kind of thing now, because they realize, oh shit, we better do a manly commercial.
They're backtracking. They're scared. They got it, man.
Oh, when I saw that new commercial, I'm like, man, they must have really realized they screwed up, because I'm
gonna look for it. I'm gonna look for that commercial. I want to see what it looks like. It's funny. Some channel had all the old Gillette commercials, like firefighters, and they're like manly men, and all this, just manly stuff, And they showed this one, they're like, what the hell happened, dude? You were doing great. Gillette was, those commercials were kind of cool, actually. It was just a given that it's going to be like a manly, it's a men's product. So you would think that, they would show men in a good light instead of this other crap they were putting on people.
Well, no, it's No, the whole thing. They want to get rid of the male patriarchy. You know, they think again this toxic masculinity stuff. But like again, if you're a firefighter, and if you're in a building and the building's on fire, you don't want some snowflake SJW guy to come up there and go, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go up there. It's kind of hot. You want a guy to go, yeah, I'm going to barge through that door. Give me that axe. Bam, knock the door down. Hey, come on, kid, come with me. We're out of here. You
want them kind of crazy too.
Yeah, you want to look great. Well, and if you're going to war, the whole thing is like, you don't want to have to go to war. But if you go to war, you want to make sure that the guys that are actually doing the fighting, you want to fight. They're not afraid to fight. Not just calling air support. They're willing to charge up a hill. I was watching. I think we were talking about it one night. I think you were on my show. We were talking about that documentary from Afghanistan. I think it was you. It might have been somebody else. And they show these guys who were like, they were charging up a hill, and one of their guys got shot and killed, and the whole unit just fell apart. And the NCO and the officers trying to get these guys to move to like, hey, we got to take that hill. And he goes, well, there's no cover up there. And he's like, well, yeah, no shit, it's a hill. I mean, there's not going to be a tree every 10 feet when you're in combat. You get to walk 10 feet, jump down. No, this was true. This was a documentary. It was I can't remember the goddamn name of the show. And one guy got shot. One guy got shot and killed, and the whole platoon just fell to pieces. The major was calling back to command and saying, "Hey, I got a problem here." Because when they got back after the whole was said and done, these guys didn't want to do shit. I mean, they were like on a mountaintop kind of outpost. Yeah, these guys were they were all gone. I mean, they were there, but they weren't there. So then he had to get. So anyway, so they must have told him like how to use certain kind of like hand gestures when he was giving the speech. Because he was doing a really bad job of it, too. Like, he was holding his hands out, palms open, when he was talking to them. So, like, they must have given him some crash course, like, online, like, how to, like, make people feel open or I don't know what. But whatever he was doing, it was terrible. And he was saying, well, when you signed up, there's a risk of dying. And he's trying to explain all this to these kids. And these kids were like, I don't know, but he's gone, man. He's never coming back. It's like, hey, man, it's a fucking war, man. You signed up for the military. You're sitting up there with a 50 cal. What's funny is they had no problem whacking people down in the canyon. They were sitting up on the outpost. They had no problem calling the air support in. They had no problem calling the artillery in. They had no problem, letting loose with the 50 cal and like zapping people down in the valley. But boy, when they got face to face with some soldiers with guns who were actually shooting back at them, man, it was a totally different scene. It was like collapse.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't happy to see that.
Damn, I didn't see that. I don't remember you talking to me about that. I would remember that.
Yeah,
probably wasn't me, but
it was something. And I don't think I rented a video on it. So it must have been something like on Discovery or History Channel or something. And it was about this unit in Afghanistan sitting on top of a mountaintop, and they showed them like going to the town to do the hearts and minds thing and all that shit. And they showed them up there, zapping people with a 50 cal and and all this shit and going, but then they showed them they had to go take this position and they ran into, some guys with rifles. Go figure, you're in a war. There's actually, they have rifles too, and yeah, the whole unit collapsed. The whole unit collapsed. It was disgusting. It was terrible.
Oh man.
Yeah. Man. And that's what happens when you take masculinity away from being a man. I mean,
yeah.
It's like, the worst commercial I ever saw, it was worse than the Gillette commercial, but it wasn't as profound. There was a commercial years ago, I think it was for ADT or something, like a home alarm system. And so they show this woman in her room, in the master bedroom, she's by herself, but it's a wife, she got a wedding ring on, and all of a sudden you hear the alarm go off, you, right? And so the next scene, I could not fucking believe it. The next scene, the husband bolts through to the bedroom door with a kid. And he turns to the wife and he goes, honey, what do we do? I swear to God.
That's fucked up.
I swear to God. Yeah, it's like, hey, get your God.
Crucify everyone.
And
of course it was a white guy, right? Of course it was a white guy.
It could have been any guy. I mean, but yeah, the whole point, it was a guy. That was the main point of it. It was a guy.
Right,
it was a dude. And he's coming to his wife for help. And then, of course, she goes, She gives this look like, I got this one. And so what does she do? Does she reach for a gun? No. She reach for a bat? No. She reaches for the phone. She reaches for the phone to talk to the security company and tell them, yeah, these guys are coming up the stairs right now. If you get here, you'll be able to identify our bodies, I guess. Oh, it was so pathetic. It was so pathetic. They didn't run that commercial that long. I guess they got a lot of flack on it because I remember seeing it only twice. But I mean, I'm watching it like, God damn. It's like, honey, if I ran into my wife's bedroom, somebody's somebody breaking through the door, and I run into her bedroom and say, honey, what do we do? She'd be like, God damn it, shoot the son of a bitch. What the hell are you asking me for? God damn it! You got enough firepower. Use it. Open up.
Yeah.
Let it loose.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah, I have a Black 19. You gotta have something. You gotta have something. So.
Wait, what do you got? What do you got? The police coming to arrest you? Is that ICE? Are you an illegal alien? Is ICE coming to arrest you? See, I knew it, man.
Wow.
I knew it, man.
Wow.
Wait, we're coming for you, man. We're coming for you.
Hey, I am an immigrant though, so but I'm signed up. I'm good. I'm naturalized.
Oh, there you go. It's hey, I got my fake Social Security card. I got my fake ID. No problem, man. I'll pass a background check. But
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get arrested. I'm gonna get reparations. So did you hear the story that I was telling you about? It's a congresswoman. What's her name? Jayapal? Pramila Jayapal? She's from Missouri or something.
Wait.
So anyway,
wait. Who's from Missouri? Who are you talking about?
It's a congresswoman named. Her name is Jayapal.
I don't know. Jayapal.
I know her. I think she's a newer one. Anyways, she was on Joy Reid's show, MSNBC, and she was calling for reparations for families that had been separated by the border. To Joy Reid, and Joy Reid just shook her head in agreement.
Well, yeah, because she's looking for support for her reparations, I guess. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so you come into this country illegally, and then we follow the law, and then we're like, hey, later, and then you want to get a check for that, and she was asking for the government to write it. Well, you know what? She can just empty her bank account, take care of 5 or 6 families herself. Charity begins at home. Man. Charity begins at home.
Oh man.
Well, no, that's insane. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't hear about that story yet because that's
yeah. You can hear about it tomorrow more because Black YouTube is gonna go off on this shit when they hear that Joy just sat there and didn't really push back at all, talk about reparations for illegal immigrants before even Black Americans get it. I don't think so. They're not gonna like that at all.
No, I think that's gonna be real pissy moany time. And yeah, she's gonna get it from all sides on this one. She'll get it from the Black conscious. Well, the Black conscious community is really against illegal immigration. I mean, if you watch T West, I don't know if you watch him. Yeah, I mean, he really goes off on it. I mean, big time. So you know what? After Synergy News, I'm gonna check him out tomorrow then because he's probably gonna have a story on that.
Yeah, they'll mention it. They'll mention it because it just happened yesterday, and Breitbart's already got an article on it right now. I'm looking at, and she did it boldface. I mean, she was serious about it. I was like, "What are y'all doing? Nuts!"
No, but the insanity is getting going all over the place right now in the House. Yeah. No, they brought up they were trying to argue over how much money for the wall, and then they brought up that new issue about the beds. And they said, I kind of brought this up a little bit last night, and then they said, oh yeah, we want to decrease the funding for how many beds you can have to house people, and then also want to cut down the number of people ICE can detain that are convicted criminals. They want to, right now they're holding 20,000 convicted criminals in custody. They want to drop that number to 16,005, which means and they said, they say ICE needs to prioritize. Well, they're convicted criminals. I'll tell you what, we'll release all the ones that live next to this congresswoman that is saying you need to prioritize. That's what I would do. It's okay, you got 20 right in her neighborhood. It's okay, you can have them. Here, there you go. You can have these 20.
God, dude. We need some laws changed. These, I mean, they're just flooding the court system. They're winning, actually. I mean, I don't know how you gonna deal with it if they all claim asylum and they have to go to court for 5 years or 3 years or whatever. So.
Because again, they won't fund have enough courtrooms, enough judges to hold hearings, and and then they won't give them enough beds to actually detain them pending their hearing. So then they have to release them. You know, if you got 60,000 people and the Democrats say, here's money for 30,000 to house them, and you know those 30,000 get to walk, and that's really what they want. They just want open borders. They want these people just to come across the border, go into the country, and have a nice day. And that's you know that's what they really want. They were hinting of that in 2016, and they got called on it down on the convention floor, and all these guys were like, "Oh no, we don't want open. No, that's no, because they're in the general election, right?" And so they're sure enough. But if she had got elected, everyone, first of all, there would be like 20 times the number of caravans coming across right now, and she would let them all in. She would find, oh, this is, you know, we're a good country, we're good people. These people just they're hungry, they need our help. I guarantee you, that, I mean, we would have been flooded by now. I mean, it would be over. Yeah, because I mean, you got to remember something. You know, Border Patrol is through the executive branch. So, like, that's why, you know, the executive has a lot of discretion on what laws to enforce or not to enforce. Congress passed a law saying you can't come across. But, you know, the executive branch determines whether they're going to enforce it or not. So they say, okay, it's like, well, the marijuana law is a perfect example of that. Like, you know, marijuana is a violation of federal law. Now, they could walk into any grow facility or any, what do they call it? What's the other thing called? Dispensary. And those are all under federal law. I mean, basically under federal law, that's grow facility is like high-level trafficking. I mean, that comes with life in prison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could walk into any grow facility or dispensary and say, okay, you're all aiding and abetting. Everybody behind the counter, even like the little kid making like $10 an hour. It's like, you're all arrested for high-level trafficking, aiding and abetting. And by the way, all the money that's in here and all the money in your warehouses and your safes and all that shit, we're seizing that. You're now going to forfeit it. And we got all your money, and then we're going to burn all the plants and all the product and have a nice day. And I mean, but the feds are choosing not to do that. I mean, what's his name wanted to do that? Jeff Sessions wanted to go after him.
Right.
And then Trump said, no, you can't. No, we're not doing the marijuana thing. If the states pass it, we're going to let it go.
Yeah, that's not a.
But the point is,
that's going to happen.
The point though is that, you know, enforcement of the laws is completely discretionary with the executive branch, with the president. So if you had Hillary in there, she could say, oh yeah, we have a law that says you can't cross illegally. But, you know, I need those Border Patrol agents on the border with Canada. And she literally could just move them to the Canadian. She would have just moved them to the Canadian border, or just tell them, okay, you're going to get paid vacation time for these 2 weeks and time it with the caravan, and they all come across. So we're really fortunate that he got elected.
Yeah, we are. You know. So what's he going to do about the border before his election? Like, if he doesn't get funding for the wall, like, what if? I mean, like, do you think if he doesn't get funding for the wall, he'll just do executive order and just get it done anyways?
You know, I think he'll declare that national emergency. Like I had up the statutes I had up earlier. Okay. I think he'll declare national emergency, or then tie it in with the other title that allows for drug interdiction for the building offenses and stuff. I think he's going to do it that way. The Democrats will say, "Oh, see, we told you he's a totalitarian, and he's a dictator, and all this stuff." And again, what they'll do is, since they're going to be pulling money and resources from some civil works project, you know, they'll find somebody who's harmed by them not completing this project over here to, you know, send the men, material, and resources, money over to take, you know, finish the wall. They'll go find all these people like, oh, you know, like I was saying earlier, they'll find somebody like they're going to build a handicapped access at a PX on a base somewhere, and now they stop building and they're going to find some little old lady, you know, veteran, of course, you know, who's in a wheelchair, and now she can't go and get her, like, you know, I don't know, sanitary napkins or something. And they say, oh, what am I gonna do? I can't, you know. And they say, oh, Trump is doing this. Oh, President Trump is terrible. Oh, look, the little old lady. Then, like, they'll show her, like, maybe she's trying to get up the ramp, and then the wheelchair tips over and she falls down. Like, somebody will be pulling a string to, you know, tip her over. Oh, look, Trump killed a little old lady. He killed a little old lady veteran.
Yeah, they will say that. They would say that too. They would say that.
Well, look at all the sob stories they came up with, you know, during the shutdown. They found all these federal employees that are like, oh, sob story, and you know, I mean, they'll run it on a loop 24/7 like they did last time. No, but I think he will declare. I think he will declare a national emergency, well within his rights to do it. It takes a veto-proof majority in Congress to undo it, because they could pass it. You know, it doesn't require 60 votes. because it's not ending or taking money away from the budget, so it's revenue neutral. So 51 vote majority, and you can find 4 asshole Republicans to switch sides, you know, or that you need 6. See, no, you just need 4. You just need 4 to switch sides. And that would give you the 51 votes in the Senate, and they already have the Democrats already have the House, so they'd pass that bill with that kind of margin, shoot it to the president, he'd veto it, then they would need 2/3 of both the House and the Senate to override his veto to end the national emergency. But the guy from who's shit, I forgot his name already. The guy from the House already. The majority leader in the House, no, minority leader in the House, I can't remember his name, a Republican. He said no, we got enough Republicans to keep it from going to a 2/3 override veto vote. And the Senate, they would need 20 Republicans to flip in the Senate to give him the 67 votes to override a veto. So I think he does it. I think he does it. And if some Republicans want to jump ship, I think they'll give him like 6 months. I think it'll be a win-win. I think they'll give him the 6 months, get it done, and then maybe, you know, see where things are. So he's going to have to work really fast. I mean, whatever construction he's going to be doing, he's going to have to move really, 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 really fast.
Right. I hope it gets done. It would be great for him, too. It would be great for the whole country. I mean, we need it. It's ridiculous.
It would be great.
It's taking advantage of the system.
There's no good argument against it. I mean, trust me, I always try to see the other side. I mean, I'm known for that in my practice. It's called looking at both sides of the file. You know, especially if you do criminal defense. You know, one side, like the DA's file, one side is for the discovery for the defendant, and the other side of the file is like the internal memorandum, like your research and stuff. And so, you know, so it means you look at both sides of the file. You look at the DA's case, look at your case, you know, and see where things should be. And so I'm really good at that. But on this issue, I can't see the legitimate argument against building a barrier, fence, a wall to keep illegal people out. I cannot find one legitimate argument against it. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah.
No, there's no good argument against it.
Against it, yeah. Well, what they say is immoral. It's immoral. It's a waste of money. And when the Democrats being worried about being a waste of money.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Democrats have no problem spending. Democrats have no problem. I mean, they doubled the national debt under President Obama. It was a $10 trillion. They took it up to 20 in 8 years. So I mean, they have no problem spending money on things they want to spend money on. So the idea that it's immoral, that's a bunch of bullshit. You know, that's just a bunch of bullshit. So no, I don't buy this story.
Yeah. Hey, Carl, one more thing before I know maybe it's about to call. I don't want to monopolize your time, but like, what about this Minnesota Representative Omar apologizing for the comments about AIPAC? What do you think about that?
Yeah, you know, and in fact, I have a story lined up on that. Let me just pull this one thing up real quick, and then I'll pull that up. Washington Times. I think Washington Times or Wall Street Journal covered it. Let me give me a second to get that pulled up.
Because while you do that, I want to say I actually agree with her.
Oh no,
AIPAC.
Nah, I'm sorry, man. I'm a big pro-Israel guy, so totally totally pro-Israel.
Yeah, I mean it's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine though. But like when you're talking about another foreign government having influence, I mean Russia doesn't even come close as far as AIPAC does.
Well, no. Look, I'll agree with you to the point that they're a lobbying group, but you know, considering, look, anytime the shit is a fan of the Middle East, it's the Arabs and the Persians, doing it. So
I still support Israel. I still want Israel. I still think Israel should be supported, but I think within reason too. They are the only democracy in the Middle East, and it's good for positioning. I mean, we should be allies with them as far as that's concerned, right?
Yeah, I mean, we should. I mean, look, I mean, foreign countries can have a lobbying group as long as they register, and they're fully registered as far as what they do. I mean, it's not like, gee, AIPAC. Oh, wow, really? You support Israel? It's like, yeah, no shit. That's who we are. We're the American.
Is there a Russian group like that? I mean, that's similar or no?
Yeah, it's called RT Television.
No, but can Russians have a group like AIPAC in America? Or
as long as you're fully disclosed and everything, sure, you can form lobbying groups. You can form nonprofit lobbying groups. I mean, there's no. I mean,
but does China or Russia have one though?
I have no idea. I've never really thought about it. I mean, I'm sure there are Russians. Hey, I'm sure there are Russians sneaking around the White House right now. Getting their nasty hands and claws into the Trump administration. Telling
Yeah, right.
Trump what to do and everything. That what do you give Trump that day? A football or a basketball or what the hell? Volleyball or
I
something?
didn't know what that was.
No, when Trump
I
met
didn't
with
know what.
Putin and everybody yelled and said he sold out the country, then Putin gave him like a
Oh
basketball
God.
or a football or something. Like there was some secret message in there, I mean, So
I didn't see that one. I didn't watch that one.
no.
Oh
But
man.
yeah,
But
let me pull up the story
Okay.
on dumbass here that I guess that's a nice way to call her dumbass. Let's see here. Let's see, where was it? I think I actually had it on a screen capture. Hold on, let me see, because I took it over to Word Perfect here. Let's see, desktop. Yeah, let me see.
this is good practice, man. When you make it into big times, you can.
Let's see here. Let's see, Wall Street Journal, Washington Times. Which one was it? Nope, not that one. I think it was the Washington Times story. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up.
Who was she making a comment about? She made a comment about somebody in particular, which I didn't like that one. But APAC does have a lot of influence. They have a lot of influence.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so Washington Times. Yeah, this is it right here. Okay, let me get over here. Okay, Washington Times by Victor Morton. The Washington Times. Okay, blah blah blah. Just hours after apologizing for making comments deemed anti-Semitic, Representative Ilhan Omar retweeted a thread defending her claim that campaign contributions from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee buy support for the group's positions. Ms. Omar praised the writer. Here we go. Move it up. Adi Barkan, who told of being a staffer on a long-shot congressional campaign in 2006, when the candidate agreed to take stances on two issues in exchange for a maximum contribution from AIPAC. And then I guess she's writing to this guy. I'm sorry, she's an asshole. But anyway, she's writing to this guy. Your courage can't be matched. I am often in tears thinking about how you won't be with us in this fight and how I'm going to miss your presence and courage. In solidarity, my friend, in solidarity, Miss Omar wrote to Adi Barkan, this guy that worked on the campaign. And then this, and now this is Adi Barkan talking, the guy who worked on the staff. In 2006, I was a first real staffer on a long-shot Democratic congressional race in Deep Red, Ohio. My boss was a hippie doctor with a lefty perspective on international affairs. Under pressure from Democratic leaders, Ms. Omar earlier in the day apologized for suggesting over the weekend that support for Israel was all about the Benjamins, baby. That's what she said. And specifically calling out AIPAC. She said she had been educated by colleagues that such a claim was offensive and anti-Semitic, playing to the trope, that Jewish money controlled politics. But she said she remained convinced that AIPAC's donations, like any other lobbying groups, were poisonous to politics. Mr. Barkan offered his story on Twitter Monday to back her up. He claimed, here we go. Let's see, here we go. He claimed that in 2006, as part of a long-shot Democratic congressional race in Deep Red, Ohio, the candidate whom he named only as Vic, well, it's not going to be hard to find this guy, kind of stupid, and described as a hippie doctor opposed to the Israeli occupation of Palestine, took the maximum amount of the law allowed for a political action committee to donate, likely $5,000 at the time when the campaign was desperate. And then he goes on to write, in 2006, I was the first real staffer on a long-shot Democratic congressional race in Deep Red, Ohio. My boss was a hippie doctor, a lefty perspective, blah, blah, okay. The Cincinnati AIPAC affiliate, Mr. Barkan said, told the candidate the Jewish group would also like to see Vic take a public stance on two issues that I thought were relatively obscure, an Iran sanctions bill and something else I can't recall, perhaps about continuing arms sales to Israel. He added that we were desperate for cash, and so we put online a statement about how Vic supported a two-state peace agreement and AIPAC's two pet issues of the cycle. It was definitely about the Benjamins. Never would he have done it otherwise. He'll be using the same rap, phrase hit Miss Omar had used earlier, in which he supposedly apologized for earlier Monday for anti-Semitic things. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and then the actual story from the Washington Times would be, let's see if I can find it here. Pull it up. Nope, wasn't here. Let's see.
There we go.
Nope, can't find it there. But anyway, so I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, again, Israel's the only freaking democracy we
Okay.
have in the goddamn Middle East. They're the only people, you know, that are normal in that. I mean, look, we back these Gulf states and stuff, but we only back them because they got oil. We don't back them because we agree with them. I mean, killing Khashoggi. I mean, everybody makes a big deal about that. I don't think that was a big deal anyways. One of their own citizens, but they whack people all the time over there. They whack people for doing, you know, if you're homosexual, you get whacked. If you're, you know, if a woman walks down the street, she shows her like her ankles, you know, she gets whacked. I mean, literally, you ever see those YouTube videos when they show like the mass beheadings in the square? They'll show like 20 people lined up, and they show the guys, you know, the people are knelt down in front of them. They show the guys with the swords whacking them in the head and the neck, and sometimes it takes more than one whack. You know, it's not real efficient sometimes. You know, so I mean, you know, I mean, they're a democracy. You know, I'm Catholic, I'm Christian, so I mean, everything that I know about from the New Testament, I mean, let's face it, came from the Old Testament, the Torah. So I mean, my past is their past, my past. So, you know, fuck everybody else. You know, I mean, yeah, you know, Israel bombed the shit out of everybody over there. I mean, look, let's, you know, once the oil's gone, what do you think we're going to do with those people anyway? Those people got nowhere to go. I mean, you know, and they're like, and all this shit about Palestinians. Well, fuck, there was no Palestine. And fuck them anyway. They're a bunch of fucking losers. I mean, you know, I mean, nobody wants them. I mean, wherever they went, they fucked it up. They went to where was it, Jordan, and they tried to take over that country. And the king had to like whack the shit out of them. They went into Lebanon, and you know what a beautiful place they turned that disaster zone into. I mean, they're just like the scum of the Middle East. Nobody likes them anyway. You know, they don't need to be around. They don't do anything. You know, the Jews went over to Israel. They turned that fucking desert. You know, the old saying, they took a wilderness and they built a civilization. Okay, you know, without oil, the Arabs take a civilization, they build a fucking wilderness. Okay, there you go.
Have you ever heard of the theory that Israel was created through the Balfour Declaration? Is that something you know about?
I heard all that shit. Look, I really don't care. They're there, and I'm happy they are. So they can stay there as long as they want. As far as I'm concerned, they could go north. As far as I'm concerned, they could go north. They can go south. They can go east. Have a nice day.
The person that convinced me most about Israel was who is it? Mossab Hassan Youssef. Do you know who he is?
He's not like a fucking terrorist, man. I mean, is that what the sirens are about? They're coming to get you?
No, check it out. No. This guy was his story is very interesting, man. But he's the son of one of the 7 founding members of Hamas. And he became a spy for Israel for like 10 years. He stopped many assassinations and terrorist acts. So he became a spy for Israel, and to this day, he supports Israel now. And when his view, I mean, this guy grew up in Palestine. You know, his dad was the leader of Hamas. He's been on the other side before. You know, but when he thinks about it, he talks about it. He goes, Israel's a good country. He just really loves Israel now. You know.
Well, no. Look. Political science major. I probably could have double majored in history if I declared it, but I didn't. Okay, look. I understand the history of 1948. I get it. Okay, they wanted to create a country, for the Jews because of the Holocaust and other stuff, and they kind of just, created one. Okay, through a UN vote. So it wasn't like it was ordained. It wasn't like it was ordained from God or anything like that. So a lot of evangelicals say, "Oh, when Israel becomes a country again, that generation shall not die." Meaning like the end, like we're all going to go to heaven. Well, no. That's not what the scripture means. The scripture means like when God brings them back. It wasn't like when the United Nations and Ben Gurion brings them back. Okay, so I mean, look, it was created out of but I mean, most of the countries in the Middle East were created that way. I mean, Iraq. I mean, the border of Iraq. That's just totally artificial. Kuwait. That's another artificial country. I mean, well, fuck the whole damn Middle East. It was I mean, think about it. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. Before that, it was something else. I mean, you can go back to the Byzantines. You go back to the Byzantines. You go back to the Saracens. You go back to the Crusades. I mean, there's never been really any real lines. I mean, the Roman Empire was in there. Before that, it was the Greek, the Macedonians. I mean, it's just the Persians. I mean, the Babylonians. I mean, there are no real lines. So the idea that you say, well, they were here at one time, and they can probably trace back pretty far. You got Abraham, I mean, and then he created, through his offspring, created the Arab population and, basically modern day Israeli population. His two kids, from two different wives, of course, that whole story. Yeah, well, it happens, there you go. But anyway, so, they can say, hey, look, we were here and we were right to this place. We conquered it. We beat the shit out of everybody that was there. Then we left. We went to Egypt, and that was a bad idea. Then we broke out of that place, and we beat the shit out of them for a few minutes. And we came back, and it took a while, and then now we're back, and then we own it, and then a bunch of shit happened, and after that, again, here come all the other different empires, the Hittites, the Egyptians, but okay, fine. So they have a country, but they turned it into something. I mean, it's actually a real country. There's like real places, real streets, and like real agriculture. And yeah, I know they do some silver lining on the clouds and all that stuff, whatever. But I mean, it's a real place. And there's real good people there. So I'm happy. You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy they're there. So I hope they stay there. And like I said, in my opinion, if they want to go north, if they want to go east, if they want to go south, I'm okay. I'm not going to lose any.
What does that mean, though? What does that mean? If they want to do that, so it means like expand.
Yeah,
you would be okay if they expanded.
Sure, Kingdom of Solomon, man. Look at the map. It's all ball bearings, man. It's all ball bearings.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, like this one guy I follow named IQ Al Razuli, and he said the same thing you say as far as about there was never a Palestine to begin with and stuff like that. I don't know that well. So.
I really don't give a shit. Okay, I really don't give a shit because if you go back to the history of the Middle East, I mean, okay, it's like we have the same discussion over here with the Native Americans, right?
Okay.
I mean, we have the same issue. It comes right up in our face. I mean, look, people who claim like, oh, we stole the land from the Native Americans. Well, I hate to tell you, but every state has a statute. It's called possession of stolen property, and the statute reads as follows: if you know or you have reason to believe that the property you're in possession of was stolen, and depending on the dollar amount, it's a felony. So, for instance, here's a good one. Like, okay, you're standing on a street corner, and some loser, some real loser, crack addict, comes up in a brand new Mercedes, and he says, "Hey, you want to buy my car for $100?" And you say, "Wow, yeah, man, here's $100. Do you have the title? Oh, I got it at home." And you're like, "Oh yeah, okay." And you give him the $100, and you get the Mercedes. He has the keys. You get behind it. You drive it. You drive it down the road, and you get pulled over. Maybe you made a wrong turn or something. You get pulled over by the cops, and they go, "Hey, is this your car?" And he goes, "No, I bought it from this crackhead for $100." Well, didn't you know it was stolen? Well, he didn't tell me it was stolen. And no, the statute says if you knew or had reasonable person standard, if you had reason to believe that property that you're driving, that car you're driving was stolen, guess what, man? Felony time. So all those people say, oh, we should, that we stole this land from the Native Americans. Well, I tell you what, then you better give your house up to, you go find the nearest Indian tribe, and trust me, they're easy to find. Go find the nearest Indian tribe that control the land that your house is sitting on, and give them the fucking keys to the front door. But they don't have to take over the mortgage. You better pay. You have to still pay the mortgage off, so they get their free house. It was stolen property because that's what happens in those cases. The original owner gets the property back, and you're out your $100 that you gave to the crackhead for the car.
Yeah.
So tough shit.
I never heard it compared to the Native Americans like that.
Because everybody here says like when people that's what I like when people talk about Israel and the Palestinians and who was there first. It's like really you want really us as Americans we want to go down that road. We want to have that conversation.
I would never.
Yeah, because it's going to it's right back in our face. Because then the Native Americans say, "Yeah, what about us, man? You took our land." And then we have to go back and say, "Yeah, but you took it from the last guy." And then the last guy shows up. Yeah, man, that's right. I want it back. And then we got to find the guys who came across, from the bridge from Siberia. But I guarantee you, when they came across from Siberia, across the land bridge, I guarantee there were probably some cavemen walking around here that like, hey, who the hell are you guys? Oh, we're from Siberia. We're taking your land.
Right.
I mean,
how far do you go back?
Yeah, how far do you go back?
Yeah.
I mean, look, the whole world was the maps of the world. Most of them were drawn by conquest. Sorry.
Right. That's true.
Blame it on toxic. Here we go. We'll circle it around. Blame it on toxic masculinity.
Like a nice. So,
Exactly.
but like, okay, so you probably heard of all the stuff that I'm probably gonna tell you, but like, what's with all the Jewish organizations that support mass immigration? Why are they so numerous?
You know, I was asking, I had a professor in University of California, and I really respected this guy a
Mm-hmm.
lot. He was a liberal. In fact, he hosted a bunch of debates, and like debates you couldn't host on a college campus now. This is 30 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like debates on
Sure.
abortion where nobody was getting shit thrown at him or yelled at. I remember like one debate he hosted. It was an abortion debate, and it was after like after 5. It was on campus though, campus sanctioned, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
70% for abortion, 30% against, and I was part of the 30% against. But I was telling somebody else
Mm-hmm.
now one time during that whole debate on a college campus, did the professor have to say to somebody, "Hey, hey, let Carl speak. Don't interrupt him. Hey, don't. That's not nice. Don't talk down to him like that." He never had to say that once because nobody did it. It was a real conversation. But anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
did ask him once about civil rights. I said I noticed a lot of Jewish people supported civil rights. Which
Mm-hmm.
I was in favor of at the time, but I was curious as to why so many Jewish groups, supported civil rights, provided the logistics and the money and everything else. And he gave me an interesting answer, and I still remember to this
Okay.
day. Now I don't know if this. Now this is one Jewish guy, okay? So this is not representative of Jewish
Sure.
people,
Sure.
okay? There's one Jewish professor
Of
who's
course. Of
probably
course.
dead now, so he can't speak to me and
Okay.
say no. What I really meant was, but what he said was, he goes, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we support civil rights is because we have been abused in so many different places that we empathize with people getting abused, over here. So
Mm-hmm.
when you see Jewish groups coming out in favor of legal immigration, I think that it's along the same lines. I mean, you don't have to go back that far in history. The Holocaust, right? I mean, that's in your face. Everybody, bam. But you can just go back a little. You go back a little further back in history to like the early 1900s and late 1800s when we had a lot of Jewish immigrants come to this country. Why? Well, they're getting the
Mm-hmm.
fuck out of Europe and the fuck out of Russia because they were getting they were getting really abused
Yeah.
really bad there. So they immigrated over here.
Yeah.
It was going downhill fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they got out. I'm talking way before World War II and even before World War One. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really go back that far in their history to see when they've been abused here, killed there. And it's probably a lot of. I think it's a lot of jealousy, a lot of anti-Semitism is jealousy, and you got to remember how Jewish people were able to start the banking things, way back when. The reason why they were able to start banking operations because Catholic Church would not allow you, if you loan money to somebody, to charge interest. Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
you were Catholic, you cannot. If you loan
Usually.
somebody money,
Usually.
you couldn't charge interest. So basically, if you loan somebody $5, you said, okay, pay me back in 2 years.
Right. Usually.
He
You
paid you
can't get
back
interest.
$5. So you had
Yeah.
no incentive to loan. So if somebody needed to borrow money to start a business or buy land or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
now the people who could loan money without because they weren't under the dictates of the Catholic Church were Jewish people. And so you see
Mm-hmm.
the original banks because they had an incentive to loan money because they could charge interest and make money on the money they were loaning. So that's why you saw
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Jewish people starting banks in Europe and stuff because they weren't under the I'm trying to think of the right word, not guidelines, but like under the dictates of the Catholic Church. And people would go and borrow
Mm-hmm.
money. Of course, people would go and
And
borrow money from them because they were the only people loaning it because the only people had had an incentive to loan money because they're going to make money on the money they loaned. So that's how you saw
mm-hmm.
a lot of the original banks in Europe, started by Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like some mass conspiracy. It was that
Mm-hmm.
you blame the Catholic Church, I guess, because if the Catholic Church didn't have those dictates, then everybody would have been loaning money and everybody would have been making money loaning money. So there you go. But so I think when you
Mm-hmm.
see people like using all these conspiracy things, like the Jewish this, Jewish that, a lot of it is because, well, sorry, man,
Mm-hmm.
the Catholic Church kept a lot of people from getting to the kind of business they were getting into. And then plus there were restrictions
Mm-hmm.
also back in those days in medieval Europe, as far as Jewish people being able to own land and real estate. So the only way they could make money was by loaning it. So they, I'm saying they had to go
Mm-hmm.
into banking and stuff. Well, banking now turns out to be like a pretty powerful thing to be in charge of, right? And so right
Yeah.
away, and people have been blaming banks for centuries. There's a problem. It's the damn bankers' fault. It's not your elected officials' fault.
Uh-huh.
It's the Fed. It's the
I
banks.
did.
It's stuff.
I did hear a long time ago. I did hear something about even in the Middle Ages, the times in the Middle Ages that like landowners and kings, or I don't know what they call it back, lords or whatever. they would hire Jews to take care of their money or be the tax collectors of those city or towns because they were, they were foreigners, they were good with money, but they were able to be more strict on his own people because you couldn't get people that lived in that town to be that person to collect money from these peasants, basically, right? So you had to get people that had no association with the town really, that could do the bidding of the lord or master to get the money from the villagers, basically. I heard that.
No, I've heard that too. No. I've heard that too. I think that's highly exaggerated. I think that just plays into the whole narrative. I mean, I guarantee you, the Lord could find some dude to go out there with a big shovel and hit somebody over the head to get paid back his money or to get to collect the taxes. I'm sure they weren't like a big sign up. Jews wanted to collect money because we don't know how to do it. I'm sure the Italians the Italians want to collect money too. Okay, I'm half Italian. I can say that because I'm half Italian. Italians want to, loan shark loans you money. Yeah, exactly. They don't want to collect money. I'm sure the guys in the Italian mafia weren't like, hey, we need to go find a Jewish person because we have no idea how to collect money from this guy that owes it to us. No, man, they grab a baseball bat, go out to the guy's house, knock down his door, and then bash him in the head. So I mean, no, those stories. No, look, those stories. Look, I used to have to deal with all this. No. Look, I used to have to deal with all this shit. When I moderated another site.
Really? Where? Really? Like Jewish stuff?
No, anti-Jewish stuff, and it was just like, I used to research all this shit. Okay, I used to look all this shit up because I'm like, well, let me take a look at this before I zap this fucking guy off the site. Let me go back and look, and I'm like, oh, this guy's a fucking idiot. Zap, you're 86. Have a nice day. 86, several hundred people like that, but no, those stories are all exaggerated. They just play into the narrative. It's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, I mean, no, I researched the fuck out of it. So.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I wanted your opinion on it. See what you thought. How did we get to this topic, anyways?
You brought it up. What do you mean? How did we get there? You've been wanting to talk about this topic for weeks. I keep seeing you put it. I knew where you were going with it too, because you kept saying, "Oh, there's something I want to talk to you about."
No. There's something I want to talk to you about. I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not there yet, Carl. I'm not even.
I tell you what. If it's as good as this one, you could maybe not bring it up. Because whatever it is, man, I don't want to know.
No,
man.
That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. That's cool. That's not a problem. That wasn't the whole entire thing, though. You know what I mean? I mean, I have no animosity whatsoever to Jewish people at all. There's just some things that I'm like, oh, what is why were they kicked out of 200 countries? But that's not the one that that's not the only thing either. There's
okay. I'm not going there with you, so don't go there.
Okay, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
I don't want to hear all this shit about how many countries they're kicked out of and all that bullshit. Okay, again, sorry, man. I tell you what, man. You have me walk down memory lane. Okay, I had to research all this shit. I had to do all this shit last year. I'm sorry, man. I'm not going there again.
My mind is Carl. My mind is not made up, Carl. I mean, I would still support Israel any day because there's no alternative over there. They're a great country. They're smart as hell. They're the they're the United States of the Middle East, basically. And so I would never say, let's let Israel rot or die, anything like that. I have never thought things like that. I was just talking about other points of it and going, oh, why has this been like this? I've never done this kind of stuff. So I've been doing my research as well.
I have, what? Again, I'm not going to go. I'm not going down that road, and this is not a site for people to hang out that go down that road either. I'll zap them off. Yeah, okay. So if any of your friends want to show up here, tell them I'll show them the door really quick.
I have no friends.
Oh yeah. I always say I have one friend. I have one friend, and he has no friends. So there you go. Okay. But all right, let me let you go. Let me let you go. Okay. I see somebody. I see somebody else wants to call in. All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay. All right. Bye. You too. Bye.
Hey, that was a great Voltron calling in there and bringing up some interesting topics. People use the word interesting for a reason. But anyway, so there you go. But I did want to get to one story here. Where was it? Hold on. I brought it up on the newspaper. Let's see where I'm at here. Let's see. Knowing your business calling in. All right. Knowing your business, knowing your business. I subbed to your site today, knowing your business.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
I hope it doesn't bore you if you actually go and watch anything. It's not very exciting.
Well, I mean, I didn't get. I mean, I was kind of busy today. I have that full-time attorney gig thing, I got to do. So I was kind of busy today. But while I was on the computer, I said, oh shit, yeah, let me quick get over there. So I had to look you up and make sure I spelled your name right, because there's a bunch of people that use that none of your business kind of name. So I found a whole bunch of other people. But then I'm glad you actually called in on that live video link, because I was able to recognize your face, on your picture. So I said, "Oh, there she is." Click. And then I saw a couple.
Yeah, that's how come business is spelled the way it is because somebody else already had it the correct way.
Right.
You got to get creative.
Well, yeah, because they won't let you use another username, right?
Right. Yeah, you can't have the same name.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I used to be on until just recently, I always just went by my name, Carl Jogger. That was my username, was my name. Everybody said, "Oh, you shouldn't be using your real name," and I'm like, "Well, if I'm putting my opinion was Carl's opinion is funny. My opinion was if I'm putting a comment out on somebody else's site, then I have no problem putting my name behind it. It was like, this is me, this is what I think, and so be it. And if you don't like it, tough shit. But then the only reason why I changed it to Carl's opinion was because when I started the actual channel, when I was going to do the channel, and they said, okay, and my wife came up with the name Carl's Opinion, and I'm like, hey, okay, we'll do that. And then so when I changed it on Google, it changed everything. Like sometimes when I send it like a professional email out, somehow somewhere it'll show up like Carl's Opinion. So like I'll be sending like an email. I'll be sending an email out to like an attorney. They must see this Carl's Opinion. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I think I told you when I did a video call in that the None Your Business thing came from Occupy Wall Street Times, and I just never changed it hereafter. I do everything and now my husband says it's ironic because my little channel that I started doing is all kinds of stuff that really is no one's business, but I'm putting it out there.
Well, yeah, like
I have a little.
No, go ahead.
Huh?
No, I was going to ask you like.
There's a little. You go, Carl.
Oh, what I was saying was I didn't have time today. Once I subbed, I didn't have time to watch any of your videos. What do you actually talk about on your videos?
Well, most of them are of my dogs and my house. And then I had a few, I read an article. Somehow my husband got put into an email list for this ultra crazy liberal newsletter called the KOS. And he can't unsubscribe from it. He keeps trying. And it gives him the runaround, and it's making him angry because he keeps getting all this junk mail from these people.
Right.
So he said, "You should tell the people about this stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I read I read an article from one of them, and then I read a little bit of stuff from I can't remember his name now. The guy who got in trouble for blackface, who said he wants to kill babies when they're born, and I put a little thing together with that, but. I'm really wooden with it, so it's not that great. Like the best video, I think, and everybody said the best video was when I was talking with my husband. I'm good at talking to people. I'm not good at talking to a computer screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, no, like when I was younger, when I was in college. In fact, I wanted to be an attorney since I was like 7 or 8 years old. But when I was in college, I noticed I had a hard time with public speaking, and I noticed that my throat would start to close up, and I would get nervous. And I said, "Well, shit, this ain't gonna work." Because I didn't want to be an attorney sitting in an office, writing contracts. I wanted to be a trial attorney. I wanted to go to trial and do jury trials and stuff. And I said, "Well, shit, if I start talking in front of a jury and my throat starts closing up because I'm nervous about being in public, and my voice starts cracking and stuff." God, you might as well just send my client to jail right now. Goodbye, lock them up. So what I started doing I started like raising every class I was in. I would, make sure I was really well versed on the topic, do all this reading and the assignments and stuff, and I would make it a point to like raise my hand in every class I was in to speak in front of the whole class on a topic and speak to the professor, like answer his question or whatever. And at first, the voice cracking, it was all right there. I mean, like. And you could hear it, and people looking at me and like laughing at me. I mean, literally, people they're gonna be all laughing at you. I was waiting for the pig's blood to drop from the ceiling, and land on top of me. And so I kept doing that over, and I mean, every opportunity I had. I mean, then like I was mentioning with Voltron, like when I went to that debate on abortion. I mean, I wanted to go to the debate, but also I wanted to engage in those kind of things because the more you speak in public, the more you, if you will, talk to a camera, the more you get used to it. And you definitely, in a way, it's like you really don't want to focus on the camera. It's like if you have like a laptop, it's kind of good like look at the screen almost versus like staring. If you're staring at a camera, you're not getting any feedback. But if you're staring at the screen that your image is on, you're seeing feedback come right back at you. Now, if you're talking like to what you're uploading on YouTube, there might be a delay. So you don't want to do that because then you're talking, your lips are moving in different directions. But like if you have your laptop up in like you're actually, real time, like there's no delay between you moving your mouth and the words coming out, that's probably a good way to practice. And what you want to do also, and I have probably at least 30 of these, you can do practice videos. Like when you go to YouTube to upload something, you can initially make it like private versus public or unlisted. If you want to test something out and try something, you can make it a private video, and then you can, do your video like a test run, go back and look at it and go, oh, well, that sucked. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I said, oh, shit. Or like when I do like these production stuffs and I do the software of the production, trying to get everything to work at the same time is sometimes kind of hairy. So, when I was learning all this production stuff, I was practicing doing private videos. So you might want to try that. And I mean, you'll get better, but it does, you got to just get the hang of it. But I mean, you're very personable. I mean, you're already starting off way ahead of the curve. I mean, you're a very personable person. Yeah. Like
I'm a ham. I'm definitely a ham and a show off. So that part's not as hard for me. When I did the actual where I did 2 lives, but they were quick because that's the fastest way for me to get a video up. Right. So because it takes like 2.5 hours for a 3-minute video to upload if I do it a different way. So I've done a couple, but it's quick. I'm not expecting to interact with anybody. And if you watch one of those 2, you'll see a huge difference in the way I am in that versus the way I interact with an actual human person.
Right.
Even if it was just somebody writing stuff, it's different. So I'm working out as far as, how I want to do certain things and stuff. I might just keep doing different stuff all the time because I like to change things up too. But
yeah, you got to find something. Well, find. I mean, obviously, like, because I remember when we were doing the live video when you called into my show on the live video. Yeah, all these animals were wandering around, like the one who was on top of the couch and everything. that little dog, it was walking along the top of the couch or the windowsill. I can't remember, but I remember like seeing these animals all wandering behind you and stuff.
Yeah, that's what it's like over here 24/7. But I have a legitimate question. This is my ignorance. It's teacher time.
No, wait, hold on. Let me tell you something. Remember, there are no such thing as stupid questions. Only stupid people.
Okay. This is not a stupid question.
No. I know that's a line. I'm sorry. If you haven't noticed, I'm a big movie buff, movie fan kind of guy. I quote movies all the time. So that was a line from a movie. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah, what's your question?
Okay. What is a representative of, let me explain it as much as I can from what I was trying to figure out. Because when I looked it up for myself, it just kept giving me job opportunities for representatives in corporations. The chick that Voltron was talking about, who wants to do reparations for the families of illegal immigrants who were separated in border crossing stuff. Paloma.
Yeah, the one.
Ayala,
The one Voltron was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked her up to see what he was getting at, and it said that she's the representative for District 7 in Washington State.
Okay,
so I was like, okay, what exactly is a representative? What power does a representative have? Because when I looked for as much news as I could, it's just a bunch of Twitter trash talk and virtue signaling and town hall meetings.
Well, I got the impression.
So
I got the impression that she was from Voltron, that she was a congresswoman. So the Congress people are referred to also as representatives. So, like you say, the House members are referred to as it's called the House of Representatives. In fact. So right. So like you have the Senate, and then you have the House of Representatives. So a representative would be one of the members of the House of Representatives.
Okay, let me real quick. I just put her name in the Google search engine, and it says U.S. Representative.
Right, there you go.
American politician and activist. Okay, so how much power does this woman actually have?
Oh, well, no.
She's kind of what I'm trying to ask.
Right. She's, okay, in the Senate, you have 100 members of the Senate. That's 2 for each state, no matter how much the population of the state is. Every state gets 2. And the House of Representatives is based on, there's 435 separate congressional districts. And so she's one of 435 members of the House of Representatives. So it's like when you see like C-SPAN, if you ever watch C-SPAN, like you'll see, well, actually, okay, when the president did a State of the Union, okay, he was in the House chamber because it was big enough to hold everybody. It was big enough to hold the 100 senators and the 435 members of the House. 535, okay, plus the reason why you get to 538 for Electoral College is like, I think you got District of Columbia and, I don't know, Puerto Rico. Somebody's going to yell at me because I know I'm probably wrong. But anyway, something like that. So you always hear 538. That's why you need 270, whatever the hell it is, half of that, 279 279 to over 279 to get the election. Okay. So, so you get 535 members of Congress. You got 435 members of the House, and then 100 senators. And the only way the number of senators, neither number is ever going to go up. So that's why certain states have more members of the House. Like Nevada, we only have 4 congressional districts in our state based on our population. California has like 45 separate congressional districts in their state because it's based on their population. So you take like I can't remember if it was based on the total population of the country. That's why the census is always such a big deal, because it's like, like New York was like, had a lot more electoral votes like in the 70s than they did, after the census was done in 1990, because a lot of people from the Northeast moved away and moved to the southern states like Texas. And that's why, it's a zero-sum game. If for Texas to pick up electoral college votes or pick up congressional districts, New York has to lose some. Michigan has to lose some. So it's always 435, but some states are more populated than others, and they have more like. That's why you see like electoral college is based on the number of senators you have, okay, and the number of members of the House of Representatives. That's why you see some states only have 3 electoral college votes, because every state gets 2 senators. And some states only have a population big enough to have 1 congressman, 1 congressional district for the entire state. So even though they have 2 senators, each of those 2 senators are more powerful than the 1 member of the House who covers the entire state, because, they're in the Senate and there's only 100 of them voting versus in the House is 435. Does that help? I'm not the best explainer sometimes, so I hope that helped. Did that help?
I think so. I think so. She's got more power than like a mayor, is what you're telling me. You really got to dumb this down for me, Carl.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm sorry, I just had to zap somebody. I apologize. But anyway, okay. So no. Totally different. Okay, like members of the House of Representatives that's the federal government. So like a mayor of a city, depending on how the city structure is set up, the mayor of a city would have more power in that city than, like, say, a congressperson who represented that city to Congress. Because that congressperson, like, say like the city of, let's pick a city, that would make sense, like Oklahoma City, maybe. Oklahoma City has like Chicago has like, I think, like four different, or a lot more, maybe five congressional districts within the city of Chicago itself, right? Now, city of Oklahoma City has like maybe only one congressional district there, okay, and that person doesn't have a lot of power because that person is only one vote out of 435 in the House. But the mayor of that city would have a lot more power, again, depending on the structure of the mayor's office, to make decisions that affect people directly in that city. So this congressperson saying we should have reparations, well, that's nice, but she's still got to get a bill to the floor, which means she has to, bring a bill to the appropriate committee. Like, I don't know, there's no reparations committee, but like, say there's like a civil rights committee in the House. So she has to bring a bill to the committee, and then convince the committee chairman to even hold a hearing on it, and then to even take a vote on it, and then it would have to get voted out of committee with a positive number. That's why you hear like getting voted out of committee. Like, it's like, okay, you have a bill, the committee hears it first. If they vote in favor of it, then it gets sent to the House floor for a vote. If they vote against it, it never makes it to the House floor for a vote. So this one congressperson has very little power. Okay, so she can say what she wants. Doesn't mean anything, though.
That's kind of what I was sort of thinking, especially when I looked and I found what I could concerning things that she said and the amount of support that she seems to have from her own people. It didn't seem like it just, I thought, okay, she's just virtue signaling to make a fuss, and like they always do. Whenever one of these people does this stuff, they're doing it to be like, look at me, I'm such a good person, and I'm thinking of you. So I didn't think too much of it, but I just wasn't 100% sure. I was like, well, wait, I can't figure out how much, I wasn't sure, like how up on the rung is this woman?
No,
she's particularly famous and popular.
No, she's not high up on the rung. She's not high up on the rung of anything. And, she can go out there and say that, and it sounds good, and some people will cheer her, but she knows there's no way that's going to get past any committee in the House of Representatives. There's no way it's going to get to the floor of the House for a vote, and there's no way it's going to get voted in a positive vote by the House. I mean, something like stupid like that. I mean, well, then again, who knows? It might, but it would never get past the Senate, and it would never get past the president. Because even if it gets past the House and the Senate votes in favor of it too, and they send it to the president's desk, well, he can just veto it. And then now there is a way to overturn a veto, because the whole checks and balances system. The founding fathers really cool on this. So in order, you send a bill to the president, say the Senate and the House pass a bill saying, we want open borders. Okay, both the House and the Senate pass it. And they say, from now on, we have open borders. There's a law. And they send it to the president. Well, for it to become law, the president's got to sign it. So he looks at it and he goes, well, screw that. I ain't signing that. In fact, I'm going to veto it. So he puts a veto on it. Dunk. And, well, it's not law now. Okay, it passed the House and the Senate, but it didn't get past the president. So then now the House and the Senate, though, do have an option. They can say, okay, the founding fathers set it up so that no one man could be in charge. They had to deal with King George and the British and all that. So the House and the Senate, if they then pass it to overturn the veto by 2/3 majority in both houses, so 2/3 of 435, whatever that number is, and 2/3 of 100, which is 66 and 2/3, which means 67 votes. If they then come back and pass it by 67 votes in the Senate and by a 2/3 majority in the House, then that operates to override the veto, and what they voted on becomes law. But Trump would veto that, and they would never get enough votes to overturn. That's why, like this national emergency thing, that's what I was talking about. Okay, for instance, the president declares a national emergency. Well, according to the statute, where Congress gave the president power to do that, because that's their power to appropriate money. But Congress, in this statute, gave an exception saying the president can appropriate money to redirect money in cases of national emergency. But they also built into the statute a way to make sure the president wasn't a nutcase, right? So they built into the statute where they could, by joint resolution, vote to undo a national emergency But they need so they sent the bill up with just simple majority, 51 votes in the Senate and 268 votes in the House. The president would veto it, and then they'd have to come back and then try to get it by 2/3 votes in both houses to undo his veto, and then to end the national emergency.
Got it.
But yeah, House of Representatives member.
And
She's only one of 435 members in the House. Yeah, so not a lot of power.
I have one more governmenty question.
Sure, go ahead.
Presidents can do executive orders to make stuff happen, kind of almost against everybody's will to some degree, right?
Right, unless the Supreme Court tells them you can't.
Okay. But that also means because it was an executive order, then the next go round, and when another president comes in, he can just scratch them all off, right?
He can scratch them all off, and I think that even kicks into like administrative law and stuff like that. Now, I must correct myself a little bit. So when I said that, unless the Supreme Court tells him no, but Congress could always come back, and like the president signs an executive order, Congress could pass a law undoing that executive order. Okay. And of course he would veto it, and they'd have to do the same 2/3 majority. I think one of Obama's executive orders was, or maybe two of them, were declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. I think one had to do with DACA.
Yeah, I know.
One had to do with DACA or something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah.
Okay, I was just curious about that because, oh shoot, now I can't remember. Nathan told me something about. Let's just call it the government because I'm not sure what branch of whatever it is, but they've been, when Obama signed the stuff to say that it was cool to spy on Americans through any of their devices and stuff, and he signed that into law, and then like something come up recently, I don't know if you've heard about it, and if I'm not giving enough information, I'll go ask my husband again, and next time you come up, I'll tell you again. But something's been in the news, I guess, lately concerning spying on the Americans and the information that they've been gathering and doing something with. And I was just kind of wondering, like, well, if that was one of Obama's executive orders, why doesn't Trump or certain other people, however that stuff works, to say, okay, you can't do that anymore because it was an executive order that Obama signed, I think, right?
Yeah, on which one? On the which one specifically are you talking about? Which executive order?
That it's okay for the government to spy on American citizens through their devices, like their phones and stuff.
Yeah.
Am I even saying this?
No. I'm sorry. No, I got it. Okay. I can't remember if that was an executive order or not, or that was, he was just under the Patriot Act, was just taking it to another level, or it was authorized under the Patriot Act and he allowed it. And most likely, if it was an executive order, it's probably something that most presidents want to have anyway. So, yeah, and I don't remember, and I apologize, but if it was an executive order, Trump would probably want to keep it in place.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
you know what? I'll ask Nathan again about it, and then the next time you have a show, if it wasn't basic, because I'm sure it's awful when somebody comes at you and they don't even know what they're trying to say. And you got to try to figure it out from their garbled talk.
No, that's cool. I got it. No, you're good. It's that's good. No, I mean it's I just can't remember. I remember there was something on that. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. I just can't remember what was up there because I remember he gave the press conference and he was talking about it and he was saying like, oh, okay, we're gonna only limit it to like if we're zapping your phone call, we're only gonna go like 3 levels past that. Like, okay. Like we're wiretapping you, so normally that means they're allowed to listen to your phone call with say John, and then they can listen to John's conversation with Bill, Billy, and Jimmy, and then they can listen to Billy, Jimmy, and whoever's conversation with these other 12 guys. So Obama said, "Oh, we'll limit it to like 3 levels or 4 levels of doing that." So that's why the whole Carter Page thing was scary because it wasn't just a wiretap on Carter Page. it was by wiretapping and listening to Carter Page's conversations and going all the way back, because every phone call you make is recorded somewhere, okay? And then in order to access it, they need like a FISA warrant. So when they got the FISA warrant to go back and look at Carter Page's phone calls, it wasn't like they got a warrant to start listening to his phone calls from like that day forward. No, it allowed them to go back to the NSA and grab every phone call that Carter Page ever made for I don't know how long, like say the last 5 years, whatever the warrant allowed them to do. So when they go back and listen to those phone calls the last 5 years, well, if he talks to Billy, they can then say, okay, who's Billy talking to? And then go listen to Billy talking to so-and-so, Jimmy, and then Jimmy talking to Paul Manafort, and they can listen to that phone call. Then Paul Manafort talking to, somebody in the campaign, and then they can listen to that guy who he talks to, and then eventually they'll find the guy talking to Donald Trump, and then actually listening to Donald Trump's phone calls. See, that's the scary. And the media, of course, doesn't cover that. It wasn't just Carter Page; it was everybody Carter Page talked to, and everybody they talked to, and everybody they talked to. And eventually, they knew by doing that, they're eventually going to get to the president, and they can listen to every phone call the president ever made. That's held in these big repositories, these big ass buildings, and these big computer files. Every time you talk on the phone, that's recorded somewhere, and it gets held and it's captured. And I don't know how long they keep it for. I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. That's why when you get a FISA warrant like on a terrorist, right? You say, okay, like, Hassan here is a terrorist. So you get a FISA warrant. Well, it's not just you're listening from this point forward. No, you're going back to everything that's been recorded for like the last 10, 20 years and everybody he's talked to and everybody they talked to that they talked to and they talked to. So you get to cover the whole, array of phone calls. So that's why the Carter Page story was so scary, because they got somebody who was they found somebody. Could have been Bill Smith if we worked on the campaign. They knew eventually Bill Smith would talk to somebody who talked to Trump. Then they could start listening to Trump's phone calls. See, that was the whole point of Carter Page. It wasn't they probably didn't give a shit what Carter Page was saying on any phone call. But they wanted to be able to tap the people he was talking to and on down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's insidious.
No, it's scary. Yes. Scary. Boogie boo boo.
Okay. All right. Well, I will let you go and think of more things to bother you with later.
Sounds good, young lady. All right. Hey, Nanya, thanks for the phone call. And I thank you while you were in the chat room yesterday, but when Lalo told me that you were live and then you canceled your live and came over and everybody came over with you to my live stream, that was really very nice of you. I just want to say thank you again. I wanted to thank you personally for that. So that was really very nice.
Sure, of course. Like I really do enjoy your show, especially when I get a chance to actually ask some stuff, or when you're going through, you're bringing information and news to me, and also you're intelligent enough to break the things down. So I feel like I'm learning a lot, more than just opinions. I can give my opinion on stuff too, but I think it helps me. I think it probably helps quite a few other people.
Well, it helps. It helps me
to lawyer knowledge.
No, well, it helps me to like to talk to other people as well, because I pick up things from other people. I pick up things from you. I pick up things from Lalo. I pick up things from Voltron. I pick up things from the Great Douchebag. And then it's funny. I pick up things from the trolls too. But you guys don't get to hear everything the trolls say, because I got this thing over here where I can screen the phone call. But I mean, you learn from. That's the great thing about interacting with people. You learn so much from interaction. So no, thanks for calling. Always call, please. Then we'll get you next time on the video thing.
Oh yeah, I'll do another video call, and next time I'll have paperwork and stuff together so that I can respond more intelligently.
No,
instead of the way I usually do. So.
No, anytime, Nonya. All right, young lady, have a good one. I'll see you in the chat room.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was the great Nonya Business, and a wonderful subscriber caller, and with her own channel, Nonya Business. And if anybody's listening and you haven't subbed, but I think probably everybody listening has already subbed, but if you're listening and you haven't subbed to her site, definitely sub to her site, Nonya Business. And you can spell it just like it's spelled in her, as she has it in the chat room. So Yeah, I had to go back and look in the chat, one of my chats when I was subbing to her site. I said, okay, I want to make sure it's spelled right because I remember somebody saying like how it was spelled or something when you go to sub for a site. But oh, here's an interesting. Let's see. Well, I guess we'll talk about this poor guy. Oh, Jesus. Oh, this poor guy. Oh, jeez. You talk about the against Lieutenant Governor Fairfax in Virginia. Oh, wrong place at the wrong time. See, nobody bothers you when you're not famous, and then suddenly when you're about to become governor, then I guess everybody wants to bother you, which it sounds like they were doing here. So let me pull some stuff off real quick here. Let me do this, and then I'll do where am I going to find it? Somewhere. There it is. Boom. 8. Okay, let me cut this guy over. Let me see if increase it a little bit. There we go. Boom. Hey. And there's me. Yay. All right. State Democrat, one Democrat, I guess, to initiate articles of impeachment against Fairfax. Fairfax is the lieutenant governor of Virginia who became somewhat famous recently because everybody thought Governor Northam, the guy with the blackface and the Klan outfit, and also the guy who, the worst thing, in my opinion, worse than that was, one that killed babies on the table after they were born. I mean, I'm sorry, that's murder. Murder kind of trumps a lot of things. I think it trumps everything else he could have possibly been doing. So anyway, so everybody said, well, gee, this guy's going to resign or they're going to kick him out or whatever. And so suddenly Barry said, well, gee, we kick him out, who becomes the governor? Oh, the lieutenant governor. Well, this guy was kind of, obviously, it's actually a part-time job being lieutenant governor of Virginia. It's not a full-time gig. He works for a law firm. That's his full-time job. It's kind of like me on Carl's Opinion. My full-time job, I'm an attorney, and my part-time job is, I do YouTube videos and appear on other people's sites and stuff like that. Well, so anyway, so now everybody's looking at him because he's about to become governor of Virginia. So that's when everybody started coming out of the woodwork. One professor from a university in California, political science professor, which I'm a political science major, and she goes on and said, yeah, he made me give him oral sex. And then, during the 2004 Democratic Convention, I think it was in Boston. That's the one where then candidate for Senate, Barack Obama, gave the keynote address, which would put him on the map. The keynote address, John Kerry gave him the nod on that. And then there's another story came up from this woman that said he actually raped her in college, I guess, or something. Well, while they were at college or law school, I think it was when they were at college, and I can't remember what college they went to be honest with you. But yeah, so now this guy is in the hot seat, and the Democrats want him gone. And Axe was talking about this a little bit today when he was saying like, oh, this is a Democratic plantation because the governor says, well, I'm not going anywhere. Well, nobody's really talking about impeaching him because of the blackface thing. And, of course, they like him on the killing babies because, they're Democrats. They like killing babies. Why not? But now they're going after this guy because it's like the whole Me Too thing. Like, so he's being accused, but he hasn't been convicted of anything. He hasn't been charged with anything. There hasn't been a thorough investigation. But now they want to impeach him because just based on the accusations. Now, I don't know if these things are true or not. I have no idea. All I know is suddenly he's famous and suddenly the accusations come out. I mean, these women were raped, years and years ago, especially the one that was in college, and now she's just now coming out because now he's famous. So, I mean, I questioned it during Kavanaugh, okay, and I'm questioning it here now too. I mean, if it's true, okay, prove it, I mean, you can prove these things, or at least, I mean, I'm not saying you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, like you're in a jury trial, but, how about like preponderance of the evidence at least? Not just like, oh, somebody said it, so it's true, like a probable cause standard. Like, for maybe like 51% of the evidence, show where like this true, like it actually happened before we start kicking this guy out of office. I mean, the Democrats, so I guess we can all sit back and laugh a little bit. But, let's remember, the Kavanaugh hearing wasn't that long ago. We weren't laughing. I guess you could say, well, it's karma because the Democrats were beating up on our guy. Well, in this case, it's the Democrats beating up on the Democrats because they can't have this, the whole intersectionality Me Too movement. And here's a guy like a rising star, was about to be a real rising star fast if he got into the governor's mansion. But so now, but they want him gone because they just want the story buried. And like I think Kamala Harris called for him to resign. I think Cory Booker called for him to resign. I think Gillibrand, she definitely called for him to resign. They're just throwing this guy under the bus like pretty quick. It's like, why don't we wait for the facts to come in first, before we start hanging this guy? I don't know. I just rather see the facts come in. Maybe it's just the attorney in me that says that, but anyway, let's read what the story has to say here. All right, by S.A. Miller, The Washington Times. Again, great shout out to the Washington Times, great newspaper. I'm a subscriber to the Washington Times. You get the e-newspaper, which is what you're looking at right now. Yay, okay. Commercial, bye. Anyway, Richmond, Virginia. A Democratic state lawmaker plans to introduce articles of impeachment Monday. That was today. I'm not sure if that happened or not. This story was written in the morning. Against Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who is accused of sexually assaulting 2 women during his 20s, stoking the political bonfire consuming Virginia's Democratic leadership. Yeah, what a mess. Despite mounting resignation calls from fellow Democrats, Mr. Fairfax appeared determined to fight for his political future and potentially brutal hearings in a General Assembly where Republicans are in the majority. Yeah, but the Republicans aren't the ones pushing this. It's kind of... it's not out of kindness of their heart. It's just that they don't mind seeing this guy, Virginia, this story remaining in the headlines for a while. So if they kick him out, then the story kind of goes away with him. But anyway, let's see. This is Fairfax's statement. The one thing I want to make abundantly clear is that in both situations, I knew at the time, and I know today, that the interactions were consensual. That's kind of a weird statement, though, if you think about it. I knew at the time they were consensual. Why would you? That sounds kind of fucked up. Okay, I knew at the time they were consensual. Well, you don't generally have when you're having consensual sex with somebody, you generally don't have a conscious thought like, okay, this is consensual. Well, if you have to say that out loud to yourself or like in your inner monologue, okay, this is consensual. I'm not forcing her to do this. It's like, well, maybe you are. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a weird statement. That's kind of fucked up. Here I am defending this guy, and he's like, "Well, see, this is what happens too when you're an attorney. You'll have this great case, and then here comes the client to fuck it up. And he's like, you got this great case, you got this great strategy, you're going down the line, you're prepping your client, you're talking to your client, you're saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is our strategy, how we're going to approach the case." And then your client will show up at a deposition and just kind of sink everything in 5 minutes or less. And the opposing counsel's sitting there, and he knows you got the poker face on from hell, and he's sitting there, but he's looking at you, and you're looking at him, and he knows you're dying inside, and he knows it, and you're like, yes, I'm dying inside. And how about a settlement where by each side walks away and each side bears their own costs and attorney's fees, and we go home now, thank you, bye. Or like you're in trial, and then, got everything lined up, everything's going great, and then here comes the client, gets on the stand, and I guess you can blame yourself. Criminal case, you put the client on the stand to begin with. Or in a civil case, you don't have a choice. Your client has to get on the stand. And then here comes your client on the stand who just sink everybody, including you. And, it's like, damn. I remember one client I was talking to, and I had to tell her, I said, look, this is your life, but it's my case. So don't fuck up my case. It's one of those things. So anyway, here's Mr. Fairfax emphasizing this point, whereby here I was just defending him a few minutes ago without reading the story first, and then I hear him say, I knew at the time and I know today that the interactions were consensual. So I don't know, maybe he's talking about they were kind of like bondage kind of situations. They were like role-playing kind of stuff. But again, that's still a weird statement. I knew at the time. That's kind of weird. Okay, well, okay. Let's see. What else did he say? I'll pretend like he's my client. This is me being like discouraged. Like, oh. Okay. What else did he say? He repeated his repeated claim that he did nothing wrong and that he was the victim of a political smear. Only emboldened his accusers. Well, yeah, because now he's calling them a liar, right? So now they're going to be like, oh, really? Okay, here we go. Only emboldened his accusers, Vanessa Tyson and Meredith Watson, who announced they would publicly testify at the impeachment hearings. Oh, shit. Wow, that's gonna be a shitstorm because his attorney or whoever, however they do the impeachment proceeding in Virginia, theoretically his attorney gets a chance to cross. You would think it's a trial, probably similar like we do it here in the feds. So his attorney gets to cross. Now here's a problem. I've done sexual assault cases, and you got a whole jury watching. Well, now you got a whole forget the jury. You got the entire country who's going to be watching these proceedings. I don't know if the I think they have like a state. I can't remember. They have a state senate and a state assembly or what they call them. But my guess is like the trial like in one of the bodies of the chamber. One of them, the senate or the assembly. Probably the senate, like something like that. And so anyway, there's your jury, the state senators, right? But you got the rest of the country because of course I don't know if they televise it. But my guess is they make a special exception. They'll televise this, and you're gonna have the whole country watching this. And so when you're that attorney cross-examining an alleged victim of sexual assault, that's really tough. You got to really walk a thin line there because you want to go after this person because say this person's lying. Say this person's making the whole thing up, like Blasey Ford, right? Christine Blasey Ford. I mean, if you get a chance to cross someone like that with her bullshit story that has so many holes in it, you got to go after her. I mean, she's like, oh, and he held me down, and she starts crying and stuff. Well, you got to like, hey, I mean, you got to go right past those tears, and you got to go in for the kill, and like expose all the lies and the missteps. Well, same thing here. The problem is, though, this is on national TV, and these women are going to come across as pretty sympathetic. They're both, I believe, both professional women. And like, what reason do they have to lie? And you got to find something to impeach them on. That's gonna be a tough line for these attorneys to walk. I mean, you still got to do your job. Worst case scenario, the way you look at it is like, well, gee, they'll hate me. Hopefully, they don't hate my client. I don't know. But supposedly he hired the same law firm that Brent Kavanaugh hired. Because I was joking with somebody the other day, and I was thinking like, you can imagine like, because then supposedly like Axe covered it. Like he referred to this one chick as like, oh, you fucking bitch, and he called her that, and he got really upset, and I just imagine him like he's calling Brett Kavanaugh, and he goes, hey man, you hear about me, and Kavanaugh's like, yeah man, it sucks, and he's like, yeah, fucking, and then like Brett goes, hey man, call these guys, this is the law firm I used, and he's like, oh, right on man, yeah, cool, all right, yeah, like totally on opposite sides of the aisle politically and on every issue probably, and then. Like two men, though, like, you're the toxic masculinity, men stick together. Well, actually, men never stick together, just let you know. But anyway, so, hold on. Let me light up a cigarette. Let me just take a look at the chat room real quick. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. So, well, anyway, these women were to testify at the impeachment hearing. This will be. I gotta watch this. Anyway, Miss Watson, that would be Meredith Watson. I believe she's the one who was in college. Miss Watson stands ready, although it will be painful, to tell the Virginia legislature what Mr. Fairfax did to her when she was 20 years old. Yeah, this is one in college. Nancy Erica Smith, Miss Watson's lawyer, said in a statement. Ms. Watson also is considering involving police in North Carolina, where the alleged attack took place in 2000 and where there is no statute of limitations for any felony crimes, including rape and sexual assault. Wow. Delegate Patrick Hope, a Democrat who represents Arlington, Virginia, said he will introduce articles of impeachment because Mr. Fairfax can no longer fulfill his duties to the Commonwealth. He needs to address this as a private citizen. The time has come for him to step down, he said. The article goes on, the jeopardy confronting Mr. Fairfax, who was a 39-year-old rising star in the party, is part of a political crisis overtaking Virginia's Democratic leadership. Governor Ralph Northam and Attorney General Mark Herring have been accused of racism for wearing blackface in the 1980s. Mr. Northam is defying his party's call for him to step down. Right now, Virginia needs someone that can heal. There's no better person to do that than a doctor, Mr. Northam, a physician, said on CBS's Face the Nation. Later adding, I'm not going anywhere. That's pretty cool. Democrats also are grappling with a succession scare as scandals are stating the first person in the line of gubernatorial succession, Mr. Fairfax, and the second in line, Mr. Herring. The next up would be House Speaker Kirk Cox, a Republican. Booting Mr. Fairfax from office, however, would give Democrats a way out. Mr. Northam would be able to name a scandal-free successor and then step down himself. The disgraced, that's really devious, because now they're going to throw the lieutenant governor under the bus so that when Northam does resign, there's somebody in there that's clean, who's also a Democrat, right? In lieu of if this guy doesn't go right away, Northam goes first, this guy's there, then he eventually has to step down, and then it goes to the Speaker who's a Republican, and the Democrats don't want to turn the governor's mansion over to a Republican. Well, that's kind of... Well, they say if you want a friend in politics, get a dog. The disgrace tarnishing the top elected officials could sour voters on Democrats in an election year in which every General Assembly seat is up for grabs, likely helping Republicans hold on to a thin majority. A backlash from black and female voters could even affect the 2020 elections in a state that only recently swung from Republican to Democratic. Adding to the sting of racism and sexual assault accusations, the Democratic candidate in a special election for Virginia House apologized last week for making, I guess, for anti-Semitic comments made 5 years ago. Well, that topic just made a full circle. Ibrahim Samira, who was born in the U.S. but calls himself a second-generation Palestinian refugee, should go back to Palestine, said the offensive comments he wrote on Facebook were musings of his college mind. He said he regrets it, apologized for adding to the pain of the Jewish community, and asked for understanding. Mr. Samira, a dentist, is running against Republican Greg Nelson, well, Samira is gone, and an independent candidate, Connie Haynes Hutchinson, in what will be the Democrats' first test since the scandals began to pile up. Well, he should just walk away right now. Mr. Fairfax's two accusers in separate statements from their separate lawyers said they want to publicly refute his denials and help force him out of office. Ms. Tyson, who was the first to come forward a week ago, said Mr. Fairfax forced her to perform oral sex on him when they met as campaign aides at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. Ms. Watson alleged a similar attack, this is the older attack, a similar attack when she and Mr. Fairfax were students at Duke University. She, back to the top of the column, whoop. She also says she can corroborate her story with documents and witnesses that she told of the attack at the time. Well, documents and witnesses you told... I mean, that makes it more relevant because she can say, look, I didn't hide it for, 20 years. I told people at the time. So it makes it more believable that it was true. But, I mean, does she have any evidence that it actually happened other than telling people about it? I mean, maybe she was lying at the time. I don't know. Maybe she made it up. I don't know. Over the weekend, Mr. Fairfax said he would fight to clear his name and that he wanted an FBI investigation into the women's accusations. Well, FBI is not in the job of going to Virginia and taking care of Virginia Lieutenant Governor's problems. I mean, get your own investigators. Trust me, he's going to find money to be able to do this with. I say this again, without reservation. I did not sexually assault or rape Meredith Watson, Virginia Tyson, or anyone else, he said. It's like that one candidate running for office, that one Republican, which she had to come out and say, I am not a witch. Or I think she was a Democrat. I am not a witch. Well, there you go. He added, this has been a devastating week for my family. It has been an especially devastating time for the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Mr. Fairfax and wife, Serena Fairfax, have been married since 2006 and have 2 children. Lieutenant Governor previously acknowledged having sex with Ms. Tyson, saying he was single in his 20s and it was 100. Oh, you had to throw that in. Keep it at 100. There we go. And it was 100% consensual. In his latest statement, he acknowledged for the first time having sex with Ms. Watson and claimed it, too, was a consensual encounter. Lieutenant Governor Fairfax's assertion that these sexual assaults were consensual, while simultaneously trying both on and off the record to discredit the victims, says all you need to know about his lack of fitness to serve in public office, said Deborah Katz and Lisa Banks, as lawyers for Ms. Tyson. Ms. Watson's lawyer said that... there's something... Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Ms. Watson lawyer said Mr. Fairfax's request for an FBI probe was a ruse. A ruse! I always like the word. A ruse. He knows as a former prosecutor that the FBI has no jurisdiction over this matter. Thank you, I just said that. Indeed, my client may contact North Carolina authorities about a possible criminal prosecution, she said. For real due process, not hidden from the public, we invite Mr. Fairfax to join Ms. Watson and her witnesses in testifying at an impeachment hearing. Mr. Fairfax's reaction to the accusation has alternated between heated and tempered. Mr. Fairfax reportedly called Ms. Watson a nut, who also claimed she was raped by a Duke basketball player. The comments drew a rebuke from Ms. Watson's lawyer, who added more detail to her client's rape allegations. Ms. Watson was raped by a basketball player during her sophomore year at Duke. She went to the dean, who provided no help and discouraged her from pursuing the claim. Further, Ms. Watson also told friends, including Justin Fairfax, Ms. Smith said. She said Mr. Fairfax then used the basketball player rape against Ms. Watson during the only encounter she had with the future lieutenant governor after he assaulted her. She left the campus party when he arrived, and he followed her out. She turned and asked, "Why did you do it?" Mr. Fairfax answered, "I knew that because of what happened to you last year, you'd be too afraid to say anything," according to the account provided by Ms. Smith. Like he is smearing Dr. Vanessa Tyson, Mr. Fairfax is now smearing Ms. Watson. That's shameful, said Ms. Smith. The smears on victims of sexual assault have to stop. Why would any woman come forward with information about a powerful man, knowing that he and his supporters will stop at nothing to smear and discredit them? Women come forward to support one another and to stop the culture of rape that is even more pervasive than we acknowledge. Well, look, I mean, if somebody's accusing you of something, now, I mean, for instance, say this guy's telling the truth. Say both these women made this up. I mean, put yourself in that position for a second. You know, you're sitting here, you know, going about your life. You got a pretty nice career going. You're now lieutenant governor for the state of Virginia, an up-and-coming rising star in the Democratic Party, and probably got a future. Who knows? Maybe you're dreaming about being president one day. Who the hell knows? And then suddenly, now, okay, again, the assumption is he's telling the truth. They're lying. So he's sitting there minding his own business, and there's talk about him maybe becoming governor because the current governor is an idiot. And he's like, wow, this is going to be really cool. And all of a sudden these two, you know, people come out of the woodwork, and they're lying out their ass. And would I get pissed? You're damn right I get pissed. I'd be like, what the shit? This is bullshit. Oh, God, this woman's a nut. She's crazy, you know. She got raped by this basketball player. Now she's projecting that whole scene onto me. And this other lady, I don't know what her problem is. Maybe she just feels bad about it. I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, if he's telling the truth and they're lying, he has every right to be pissed off. Every right to be pissed off. So, anyway, there you go. But anyway, it's 11 p.m. on the West Coast, which would make it 2 a.m. on the East Coast. And so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream for the evening. And let's see, let me get me back up here. Cut. There I am. Yay. So anyway, I'm going to end the stream for the evening. And I just want to tell everybody thanks for watching. And check local listings for future shows. And I guess maybe, let's see if we have it up here. Nope, I don't have it up here anymore. But I was going to let you guys watch my rap video for one more time, but I don't have it up anymore. I had it up, but it's not up no more. But anyway, I just wanted, well, actually, let me see real quick. Let me see if I can get my rap video up. Nope, wrong one. Wrong button. Let's see, go here. It's me scrolling down. It's me with sound effects scrolling down. Okay. There we go. Let's see, bring this up. All right, we're going to end this for the night, and I do just want to say thank you to everybody, and if you liked the video, just hit a like on it. If you're new to the site and you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. And thanks for all the people who called in. Thanks to Voltron. Thanks to None Your Business. Thanks to the great douchebag, and thanks, Mr. Douchebag, for covering me while I went and checked on some cables to make sure my internet wasn't buffering. And thanks for everybody in the chat, and thanks for everybody who's been watching later. But anyway, I'm gonna end this first with the rap concert, my famous rap video, and then let's see, let me get here. And so anyway, here's the Badass Barrister taking it away. Take it away, Mr. Badass Barrister.
Yo, yo, yo! BS here. No, 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 just politics, history, and facts. That's what I'm talking about. My opinion. Carl's opinion. Yeah. I'm not trying to shade you, just trying to educate you. I opine that you just need to listen and participate, or just be standing outside the gate. Carl's opinion. My opinion. Yeah.
Yours here right now, the kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Yeah, time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like you never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight.
it slow.